Have you ever questioned in your mind if a man was truly toxic or if you're just overthinking again? Isn't it confusing trying to figure out if that action is really a red flag or if it's just you overthinking things? Well, what if I told you it's possible for it to be very clear to you which one of those it is if you just knew exactly what signs to look for? Which is why on today's show, we're going to be discussing 10 ways to tell if a man is toxic. That way, you avoid the heartbreak and emotional toll you would put yourself through if you chose the wrong. All right, so for point number one, we have the apology. Now, the reason I'm talking about this is you need to pay attention. You're not going to be of the business of forcing a man to be anything when you meet him. But what I want you to get good at is analyzing what a man would rather do, especially as it relates to the emotional side of the relationship. So let's just call these boxes, right? We're going to call them responsibility. Okay, so each time that I draw a little bit more of a box, it's going to equal more and more responsibility. Okay, so the reason that apology is so important is because each one of us in a relationship at certain points are going to have to take on a little bit of more or less responsibility. And this is a very important thing to recognize, right? When you apologize to someone and you tell them, hey, I messed up. I did something wrong. I shouldn't have done that way. I shouldn't have treated you that way. I shouldn't have said that thing. That was disrespectful of me. You're taking on some responsibility, and some of that responsibility is going on your shoulders. Now, this can be a really good thing if it works well, or a really bad thing if it doesn't work well. Let me give you an example of that, okay? Let's say a guy shows up to a date 1 hour late, right? And you guys were supposed to go out to your favorite Chinese spot. You're sitting there on that date for 1 hour and he doesn't show up until literally 1 hour later than you guys had planned for him to show up, right? Here's the thing that I want you to recognize in that moment. You don't want to try and force him to act anyway upon the fact that he showed up late. You need to let him show you what he would rather do. And in this sense, let's just say for the sake of example, he chooses to say, oh, it's not my fault that I'm late. Literally, you forgot to tell me that this was the sushi spot we were going to. And because you didn't remind me the night before, because you know I had a super busy project at work, I was literally thinking you were talking about the sushi spot that you sent me, or the Chinese spot that you sent me over TikTok, but that wasn't the Chinese spot that we planned to go to. So really, if you would have reminded me of the right spot, I would have went to the right place the first time. I was thinking it was close, so I was leaving based on the fact I thought it was close and I didn't realize it was the further one. And then he's unable to apologize, right? And this is something that you'll notice as time goes on in your relationship with a guy. You'll notice a lack of ability to actually genuinely apologize for any wrongdoing, whether it be something big that he has to take a lot of responsibility for or something very small, okay? And this is something to take notice of, because a guy who can't apologize is a guy who can't take accountability. And if he cannot take accountability, you're not going to be able to build a relationship with that man, okay? It's just not going to work. And something you need to recognize very quickly on is if that man even wants to take accountability and is capable of doing that. Because for some men that you will meet, I'm just telling you the honest truth, some men that you'll meet, you'll realize that to take actual accountability for something they've done wrong, it'll be like you're pulling their teeth. It'll be like nails on a chalkboard. You'll literally see discomfort on their face when they're having to like almost admit that they did something wrong or that they shouldn't have done that thing. And you'll always see them trying to like skate around, having to just say, you know what, I was wrong, I apologize, I shouldn't have done the thing, whether big or small. So those type of men, avoid them like the plague. You're never going to ever be able to work with them or get anything from them, because in order for a relationship to work, both parties have to be willing to take on some responsibility at times, because everyone is going to mess up at times, even you, right? You're not perfect. He's not perfect. Nobody's perfect. That shouldn't be the expectation of the relationship, that someone or both people are going to be perfect. But what should be happening is there should be systems in place for both parties to be able to work with the fact that they're not perfect, apologize for those things, take responsibility for those things, and then move forward. Okay, sounds very trivial, but trust me, you'll meet some men that this is like, very, very difficult for them. It's quite shocking. Okay, let's hop into our next point. Did I spell responsibility right, chat? Because the spell police is supposed to be on me if I spell something wrong on the board. Okay, you're supposed to spam it. So I hope you're paying attention because the point done now. So if you weren't, that's on the spell police. Point number 2. Let me write this right. Okay. All right. We'll draw a little bit of I won't tell you what I'm drawing yet. It's a secret. You're going to have to figure it out. You're going to have to figure it out. Okay. You guys won't like this, though, because this one is a little bit painful. And for those of you who have been in this situation before, I'll just be honest with you, little warning. This is probably going to trigger you, and you're probably going to, well, I drew your smile really weird on that one. You're probably going to feel really dumb after I say this. Do you guys know what this is? Can anyone tell? It's a wall. He's a wall. Okay, so let's talk about this. Point number 2 is about being secretive. Now, one thing that you'll notice with men that you will date, some of them at the very least, is that they will do their best to tell you as little as possible about what's actually transpiring in their life. And one thing that you should take note of is if a man is extremely, extremely secretive with everything that's going on in his life, like, what did he do this weekend? Where did he go with his mom for Mother's Day, okay? How did he went out with his family, where did they end up going? And see, this is the thing about men who are being secretive, and I'm gonna give you something that's kind of demoralizing, but it's from my own experience in helping hundreds of women with their own personal situations. Whenever a man is ultra, ultra secretive, usually it's because he's hiding something that he really, really doesn't want you to know about. And most of the time, that thing that he doesn't want you to know about is a girlfriend or a wife or a family, okay? And I'll just be honest with you about that. So I'll even write that here, right? It could be an ex-girlfriend, right? Or it could be an actual girlfriend. It could be a wife. It could a slash fam. Or it could just be another situation. And truthfully and honestly, I've seen a lot of guys do this, and they always have the same approach in terms of how secretive they are about how they're spending their time. Now, I'm not saying that the guys that you should be looking for should be telling you everything they're doing every second of the day, and they should be sending you picture and video evidence of those things. But what I am saying is you'll start to notice a pattern when you literally can't even track what he is doing throughout the day or throughout the week. And you don't even have an idea of what it could possibly be. Because outside of his regular work hours or regular work schedule, you literally can't account for anything he spends his time doing. You don't know who his friends are. You don't really know anything about his family life. You don't know anything about his family schedule. He just kind of is very vague with where his whereabouts are and what he spends his extracurricular time doing. Okay, someone even said an ex-wife. I could put here as well, right? I could put ex-girlfriend / ex-wife. Because honestly, this is the truth. And I've helped a lot of women. And a lot of the times when this is happening, especially when they couple this type of pattern with, the secretive pattern with also kind of disappearing at these random times, and they'll give you a lot of energy, seem like they're really paying attention to you, seem like they're really invested in this relationship. And then all of a sudden, poof, out of nowhere, just gone. And then he returns as if nothing happens and doesn't even address the fact that he's been gone like nothing happens. Most of the time, it's something along these lines. I'll just be real with you. I know that's a little bit demoralizing because for some of you, you're like, oh my gosh, my guy, he's super secretive. What if this could be him? It possibly could be. It possibly could be, right? Someone says, or he's on the down low. That's also a possibility, although I've seen that more rarely than I've seen all of these, okay? Let's hop into our point number 3, okay? Can I give you guys an example of secretive? Did I? I think I did. Okay, let's hop into point number 3. I was supposed to give you guys an example. Okay, this one's one that is, I'm talking like the girls now. This one's one that's harder to clock. That's how the girlies say it, huh? You ain't clock it. That's how they say it. That's how the kids are saying it. Am I right, Chad? Is that how the kids say it? You gotta clock it. That's how the kids say it, right? Okay, so let's do this like this. And then we'll do this like this. Oops. And then we'll put his. You get the drift, okay? So here's the thing, right? Is that how the kids are saying it? That's how the kids say it, right? Here's the thing. Point number 3 is about expectations. Very important to take note of. This is one of the harder ones to clock. Is that if he has a certain level of expectations for you, and they are tremendously outweighed by what he actually has in terms of expectations of himself, now we have a problem. You're definitely dealing with a toxic man. Let me give you a perfect example of that, right? Let's say you message him and text him because you need something from him or you need an answer. And so you message him like, hey, you said that you were going to call me later this afternoon. I'm just wondering if you're still going to call me or what's going on, whatever the case may be. He doesn't answer you all day. Right? He doesn't answer you in the afternoon. He doesn't answer you in the night. And he waits until the next day. And then he messages you like, oh, yeah, my bad. I had some work stuff. And then I got home and I was tired. And then I had some stuff to do. I just didn't really feel like talking on the phone. Cool. That's how he goes about things. Then one day, you're at work. You're busy. You got lots of stuff to do at work, lots of projects to complete. And as you're busy at work, you can feel your phone buzzing. And so you see that it's him. And when you see that it's him, you're like, okay, obviously I can't talk right now. So you put it back away and you continue doing your work. But ironically, now that he can't reach you, he continues spam calling you over and over and over again and texting you over and over and over again until you answer his message. And you finally answer the phone and you're like, look, like I'm kind of at work right now and I'm kind of busy. And he's like, no, but like you can answer me. It's been an hour. It's been 2 hours. Are you telling me you've been working the whole time? You can answer one call for 5 minutes. You can answer a text in 30 seconds. Just answer my call. Just tell me this. I just need that. I just want to know this, right? And so this is the thing that I want you to take and pay attention to, is that if his expectations of you completely outweighs his expectations of himself or what he brings to the table, and you're noticing a lot of hypocritical behavior, right? Then we have a very toxic man on our hands, because there's nothing wrong with him saying that he's busy and wanting you to be understanding of the fact that, hey, sometimes he might not be in the mood to talk, or he might go through some things at work and maybe he doesn't want to talk on the phone, whatever the case may be. But if that's the case for him, naturally, if he's a healthy partner, he should be able to have empathy for you when you're in that same situation, as opposed to feeling like, oh no, you owe me your time 24/7, and my expectation is that you will drop everything and anything for me, but vice versa, if I'm in your shoes, right, and I need you or an answer from you or a response from you, I expect that answer or response right now in this second. And if you take any time to answer or respond, we're going to have a problem. Okay, right? Those type of men, you once again, you're not even going to be able to have a successful relationship with them, because there is no winning when your expectations is here. That's why it's kind of a scale, and his expectations is way lighter than yours. Okay, does that make sense? Nadia says, this is hella triggering. You are explaining my ex through and through. Well, he's your ex for a reason, right? Someone says this sounds like my mom. Parents can be very, I'm spilling water all over myself. Damn. Our parents can be very triggering sometimes, because definitely parents can be hypocritical as well. But if your partner is hypocritical, you got to leave that man, because then you have a choice. At least you can't pick your parents, but at least you can pick your partners. Well, depending if you're not in an arranged marriage. Someone asked me a question I'm yapping today, chat. Someone asked me a question about arranged marriages. Was it the other day? Yeah, and I didn't know how to answer the question because I've never been in an arranged marriage, so I didn't want to answer the question irresponsibly. I don't know what it's like to be in an arranged marriage, but you can still apply a lot of the things in terms of like making sure the partner that you're with, you can actually be in a successful relationship with them. But I guess if it's arranged, and the person's toxic, I don't know if you really have a choice then. All right, let's hop into number 3. No, wait, did I put number 2 there? Chat, did I just put number 2 for, yeah, this is number 4. This is number 4. I'm tripping, chat. It's Monday, chat, chill. It's Monday, chat, chill, chat, chill. Okay, so let's do it like this. It's gonna look kind of weird, but don't worry. Let's see. So we'll say, okay, so let's say here, right? You have a guy that you're going on dates with. And as you're getting to know this guy, I'll introduce the point. Point number 4 is about money. So you're going on dates with a guy. As you're going on these dates with a guy and you're getting to know him better and understand how he goes about life better, you're starting to notice a very strange but puzzling and troubling pattern. He always tends to complain to you about the fact that he doesn't have a lot of money to spend. And, it's tight because his job doesn't pay him a lot and all this other stuff. And then you're watching him in terms of like how he goes about his life and what he spends his money on, right? And you're seeing him spend money on, let's say, limited. Oops, I should put this here. Let me put this here. I put it in the wrong column. Let's say he spends himself $300 on some, this is gonna sound stupid. Some of you are gonna be like, what are these? Does anyone know what these are? How many of you know what I'm talking about? He spent $300 on some Travis Scott sneakers, okay? Do you guys know who Travis Scott is? I know some of you are like, what is this? I don't even know what you're talking about. Travis Scott is a rapper, okay? He's a musician and he makes Nikes that a lot of people like, okay? And he makes these, his Nikes always sell out. So when they drop, a lot of people want them and they resell for a lot, okay? Just for those of you who don't know what I'm referring to, right? So he'll spend $300 on some Travis Scott sneakers, okay, right? He'll spend another $500 on an LV coat, right? So you see him go to the Louis Vuitton store, or he's flexing on his Instagram story, him going to the Louis Vuitton store and buying him a $500 Louis Vuitton coat, which he comes to the restaurant wearing and saying, yeah, I just got this at the Louis Vuitton store, okay, right? He spends another, let's just say, this is gonna sound, you guys would be like, what are you talking about? $200 on video games. Some of you might be like, how do you spend $200 on a video game? When you buy the video game, it's gonna sound very weird, I'll be quick with this. When you buy a video game, there's what we call in-game purchases, where you can actually go into the video game and purchase particular skins, particular weapons, particular whatever you want. I don't play that many video games, but you can make purchases in the video game after you buy the video game. So the spending is not done once you buy the video game. And so let's just say you're clocking that, as the kids say, as you're continuing to know him and know how he kind of spends his time and he spends his money, okay? So let's tally up the things that he spent his money on, okay, right? So he spent some $800 there, and then we have $900 total dollars, right, that he spent on what we can just describe as extras, right? Just to keep it basic. And on a regular basis, you're thinking to yourself, well, damn, I'm with this guy, and I said 900. I meant to say 1,000. My bad, chat. Supposed to be a clean 1,000, okay? And let's say you're with this guy, and you're thinking to yourself, you're complaining about money, and you're complaining about the fact that you don't have a lot of extra money at the end of the month or after you get paid. But I see you spending $1,000 a month on things that I think both of us would deem to be not necessary for living life, right? Especially if you're on a budget or trying to save money, right? Purchasing Travis Scott sneakers isn't the difference between life and death, right? Purchasing a Louis Vuitton coat ain't the difference between life and death. Getting these in-game purchases on your video game ain't the difference between life and death. Why waste that money? So why do I say all of this, and why do I consider this a toxic trait that you should stay far away from? Because his inability to manage money properly, right, is also a microcosm for a bigger issue, which just means a smaller example of a larger issue, which is an inability to manage himself and his own life. Because if he can't manage money as a man, when it just comes to himself and what he makes and how he spends it, how do you think he's supposed to do that when now we have his income, your income, and then the income being dispersed amongst you and the children as well, and all of the events and things that they will have to go to, right? What does this also say about his ability to just manage life in general and say to himself, what is necessary? What is unnecessary? Where am I going in the future? And how do I want to get there, right? Money management is a big part of that, right? If you're not responsible with yourself, if you're not responsible with your time, if you're not responsible with the places that you go and the things that you do, you won't be able to manage money properly, right? You have to be a responsible person to be able to do this. So paying attention to how responsible a man is or isn't with his money will tell you a lot about how he'll go about a relationship. Now, I'm not saying that all rich men are going to automatically be non-toxic, but I definitely can tell you a man who has a money management problem, you will not be in a very good relationship with, right? Because if he can't manage money, how you expect him to manage a relationship, right? When he's got you to think about and he's got his other responsibilities to think about, he's got work to think about, he's got all of this other stuff to manage while he's still taking care of you and in a relationship with you, right? So you got to be kind of putting two and two together in that sense. Does that make sense to all of you, right? Someone says, he buys shoes, I better be getting shoes too. I'm a gamer, so I know the trappings that had my ex in a chokehold. No addictions. You see, that's the thing, right? Nothing wrong with video games. I don't play video games. Nothing wrong with them, but trust me, there's more than just drugs can be an addiction, chat. You don't think that it's only the stuff that they said in the DARE program that can be an addiction. Even small things like video games can be an addiction. You can have an addiction to anything as soon as you stop thinking it's an addiction just because it's not a drug, right? You gotta be very honest with yourself and self-aware. Okay, let's hop into point number. This is point number 5, I believe. Okay. And we'll do this like this. Alrighty. So we're gonna put you and your large egg head in the middle. You have a large egg head, very large, extremely large. Damn, your head big. Okay, so this is you in the middle, and then we're gonna draw NPCs around you. Okay, because you're the main character, and it's only NPCs that live around you. I'm actually an NPC in your life. Okay, me, I'm an NPC. All right, so this is the thing. For point number 5, we're going to be discussing your social life and why it's so important to take notice of how a guy interacts with your social life. So let's use an example. Let's say you're starting to date a guy, and as you're getting to know him, he's also getting to know the life that you've been living since before you met him. He might not necessarily meet all your friends, but he'll start to hear about them. He'll see you post with them. He'll see those girls on your Instagram feed. Maybe you've taken pictures with them already. Your family as well, right? All of these people are part of your circle, okay? And one thing that you want to clock, as the kids say, is how is he speaking about your inner circle? And is he constantly discouraging you from hanging out or spending time with those people? What does that actually look like, right? He might say, oh, you have your BFF, right? your BFF, whose name is Angie, she is someone, I just don't like her vibe. I think her vibe kind of off. I don't think you should really be friends with her, even though I know you guys have been friends since you guys were literally 10 years old. And even though she's had your back for all this time, and even though she's taken care of you and you've taken care of her and you guys have helped each other through a lot of situations, I just, the vibe I get from her is not really vibey. And I think that you shouldn't be friends with someone like that. You should really stop hanging out with her. I don't really vibe with her, right? Oh, and your friend, this one friend you have, Stacy, she's not your BFFFFFF, but she is a best friend. So I see her posting stories. She's twerking a sexy red. I don't know if I really like that. She ain't really the type of girl you should be hanging out with. Oh, and there's this other girl that you spend some time with, right? Her name's Ashley. Yeah, I see her going out and I see her doing some things. I don't really like her either. I think you should really cross that one out too. And see, this is the thing, right? These guys will do something very interesting and psychological. They'll come into your life and then they'll immediately start judging all the people in your life and paint them as problems in your life and try and discourage you or make you feel guilty for spending time with those people. Because now, as he can kind of talk down on them or tell you, oh, she's bad, that person's bad. Now, if you say, well, I hung out with Angie the other day, I hung out with Ashley the other day, he starts to almost like pout like, oh, that's what you were doing? So you're telling me that we couldn't hang out because you were hanging out with Ashley. You're telling me we couldn't hang out that other day because you were with Angie, that girl that literally you shouldn't even be friends with, that girl that literally is the worst thing ever, right? And so as he's painting this picture, you start to feel like, well, one, either I need to hide hanging out with that person because he seems to not approve of her, or maybe I need to stop hanging out with that person altogether because maybe she is bad news. Maybe she shouldn't be in my life, right? Now, there's a balance to this. Obviously, there can be some scenarios where you might have a toxic friend that you didn't realize was a toxic friend. But one thing I want you to take note of is if a guy just hops into your life and begins speaking down on all of your different relationships and is constantly finding a problem with each and every person that's in your life. Because as he's talking down on all these relationships, what eventually will happen is he'll slowly but surely try and X all of these people out of your life and leave you in isolation like we've talked about before on the show, right? And so it starts with the rhetoric, okay? It starts with the way he'll talk about them because as he's talking about them, he's almost trying to emotionally detach you or make you see a different perspective of those people in your life. And one by one, he's hoping you'll eventually say, yeah, you know what? I guess I'll just stop hanging out with that person. Even if as he's telling you these things, you're like, but I don't think that that person is the way that he's thinking or describing her. But whatever, I like this guy, so maybe I just will stop hanging out with her, right? Maybe I just will stop seeing her. Maybe when she asks me to hang out, I will just make an excuse or hang out with the guy instead, right? Big, big mistake. And notice it when you start dating a man, if he's trying to take this type of control over your social life or take control. This is another thing. I'll give you guys a little pro tip for those of you in the live show. Another example of that could also be if he tries to get into your life and start controlling or judging what you post on your social media. Because the reality of it is, if he met you, especially if he met you, he liked what you were posting when before he actually started dating you. And then now that he's dating you, he's like, hey, don't post this and don't post that, right? That's another sign of like, okay, now he's coming into your life and trying to control every aspect of your social life. You're not going to be able to have a successful relationship with the man in that state of mind, right? And so take note of that and the way that he approaches your relationship in that sense, because as soon as you start hearing that type of rhetoric, oh, stop hanging out with that girl, stop hanging out with this family member, stop going out with that person and this person, and just make your life all about me. Thank you very much. I've had a great time spending time with you. I'm glad that we got to know each other. I don't want to ever see you again. That's what your mentality has to be, okay? Someone said that this is my ex. Nadia says, this is the one thing I stood up for. I never let him push my friends out, and he hated that. I always say isolation. You guys always hear the term gaslighting, but isolation is really the best form of gaslighting, because if you think about it logically, if someone isolates you, then they can become what I call your sole source of truth. Being in the sense that, like, if someone's your sole source of truth, they're the only person where you can get any sort of perspective on a situation from. And so now if he says, oh, the way I treated you wasn't bad, it was just misunderstood, because what I really meant when I said this to you or did this to you was blank, 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 that becomes like your sole source of truth. And because you're in isolation, you have no one else that you can go to get another perspective on that situation. So when he disrespected you, he changes the narrative about it. And then because he's the only person that you're even getting perspective from, you start to say to yourself, well, maybe he's right. It wasn't like that, and it wasn't as bad as I'm making it sound. As opposed to if you're not isolated and you have friends around you, those friends will immediately tell you, no, exactly how you're thinking of the situation, it's actually even worse. And the fact that you're even still with him is actually insane, right? But that other perspective will ground you better in more truth, if that makes any sense. Let's hop into point number, that was 5, right? So this will be point number 6. Okay. All right. So let's think of this like this. I'll draw this in a kind of like an animated visual. How do I draw? I'll do this. Let's see. I'm literally winging this. I don't even know how to draw this emotion properly, but let's just do this like this. Wow, I winged that. Super winged that. Wow, something's gotten into me. All right, and then we'll do this. We'll do this like this. Oh, what's gotten into me? What the hell? What the hell? What the heliante? What the hell, LeBron James? Okay. Okay. What the hell, LeBron James, going on with me, Chad? I'm going crazy up in here. Okay. In all seriousness, point number 6 is about feelings. What I want you guys to understand, if you start talking and dating a man and you're noticing that anytime you express yourself, especially when you express pain or hurt as it relates to your relationship, his general response is always to be like, look, it's not as bad as you're making it seem. You're overreacting. You're being a little bit dramatic about this. You don't have to make it this big of a deal, right? Why are you being such a woman about this? Why are you being such a girl about this? You're fine, right? This is an example of a toxic man, very toxic man. Let me kind of paint you a little bit of a picture, okay? And a bit of an understanding in concept. You're a woman, okay? As a woman, you're not gonna feel everything that a man feels. So yes, there will be some things that you feel more intensely because you're a woman, and maybe you are a bit more emotional about certain things than he would be as a man. But that's okay. And I never want you to shy away from that fact, that truth, and I never want you to suppress that fact or truth. You're a woman, you're allowed to feel things as a woman would. The same way he's a man, he's allowed to feel things as a man would. The toxicity comes in when his expectation is this is long, right? His expectation is, well, that wouldn't make me mad if I was you in your shoes. So if that wouldn't make me mad if I was you, if I wouldn't be crying because I had a hard day, if I wouldn't be crying because I feel overstimulated, if I wouldn't be crying because I feel overwhelmed emotionally, then you shouldn't be either. And I'm a man, And if I don't feel that emotion or that intensely, if I don't feel that dramatic, if I don't feel like expressing, if I don't feel hurt or I don't feel pain, then you shouldn't feel those things either if you're in my shoes. Or even if you're in the opposite end, on the opposite end of the stick and feeling things yourself, right? So this can become very toxic very quickly because essentially his expectation is you, woman, should act like a man. You should feel as a man feels. If I can't put myself in your shoes, why are you feeling that way, right? This also shows a lack of empathy, that someone can't even understand why you would feel a different way than they do, right? Someone says, is this a joke? It's unfortunately not a joke, right? And there are men that struggle with this. The understanding that when he gets into a relationship with a woman is not going to feel and react and respond the same way that he will, right? And that's okay. That's actually perfectly fine. In fact, when a man is in a healthy state of mind, he understands, look, some things, even if I might think it's silly because I'm a man, even if I might think it's over dramatic because I'm a man, I'm with a woman. She's not going to react and respond to things the same way as me. I might have to talk to her a little bit more gentle. I might have to be a little bit more softer with her. Maybe when I do yell, it's a little bit harsh. Maybe I do have to be more gentle with my words around my woman, right? These are things that grown men, they grow, and mature men grow to understand that when we deal with women, we're not going to deal with women the same way that we deal with men. It's just not, that doesn't work like that. So this is why I say, when you get into a relationship, you want to identify quickly if you're dealing with a man who has that emotional maturity to understand the way you deal with a man is not the same way you deal with a woman versus a man who doesn't understand that. And then he's constantly always making you feel a lack of validation or invalid for feeling anything that he wouldn't feel, for feeling any emotions intensely, or for just responding and reacting to things differently than he would respond or react to things, especially when it comes to your feelings. Because I know for you, sometimes you might literally have a bad hair day, or literally, you know, your clothes has a stain on it, and that could ruin your whole day. You feel overwhelmed, and now you're crying. Okay, it's perfectly fine. We're all different, right? But that's just you as a woman, and that's okay. For men, they react and respond to things differently, but there has to be understanding there, okay? And an emotional space as well for you to be able to feel comfortable feeling things and not always feel like you constantly have to suppress, okay? Okay, let's hop into point number, what's the next point? Point number 7. Point number 7, all right? Does that make sense to all of you beautiful, beautiful, beautiful people? Okay. Your feelings are important. I care about your feelings. Tommy care about your feelings. All right, let's hop into point number 7. Okay, we do this like this. Let's do, we're gonna do it's gonna look weird, but it's gonna be like a reverse triangle. So we're gonna have you down here with your beautiful hair. And then, actually, we'll draw you kind of shocked in this one. And then we'll, sorry, it looks like you have a vacuum mouth. Sorry, I didn't mean to draw you with the vacuum mouth. Maybe you do have a vacuum mouth, but I just wanted to, okay. All right, so then we have you here, or him here, your man here. Okay, so your man's over here. We'll draw him actually like this. He's really mad. Very mad man. Grr. Okay, and then we'll have what we can describe as an other here. Okay. All right. And then we'll put, I drew you weird. I drew you like a monster, okay? Okay, so for point number 7, you gotta be paying attention to how a man treats and respects or disrespects others. when you're with a guy, let's say you go out to a restaurant, and this restaurant is super busy, okay? We're talking like every table is full. And you can see like it looks like they're damn near understaffed because every waiter is running around sweating, helter skelter, trying to deliver orders. It's loud, there's music playing, it's a bunch of chaos, okay? But this is a popular restaurant and you guys are here now, you booked the reservation and this is where you guys are gonna eat. And let's just say for the sake of example that your man orders his steak and he says, look, I really want my steak medium. You better give me a perfectly medium cooked steak. And the waiter brings his steak to the table and the steak is actually well done. And then when the waiter brings his steak to the table and it's well done instead of being medium, he says, waiter, bring your here. I told you, give me a damn MFN medium steak. Your stupid ass came here with a crisp burnt steak. Are you stupid or are you an idiot? Which one? And you're like, damn, bro, like he didn't even cook the steak. And it's just a steak. He can take it back and get another one. But you're like, maybe I shouldn't say anything, right? And he's screaming and he's yelling at this waiter who's clearly already stressed out because clearly they're understaffed and clearly he has a whole bunch of stuff to do, right? Now, I'm not saying that the expectation should be that your man eats his well-done steak even though he ordered a medium steak, but you want to be paying attention to how someone interacts and talks to other people, especially when angry. Very, very pay attention. Pay attention to how respectful or disrespectful he is when someone does him wrong. Because make no mistake about it, that same type of outburst in a situation like that, you might be thinking, well, he's not yelling at me, so who cares, right? Trust me, when that anger is now directed at you, he will get that same level of disrespectful, okay? So be paying attention to how a guy interacts with others as well when he's angry or upset. And that could apply not just to a random waiter, right? Because the reason I kind of drew this like this is because you're observing him and you're observing the other person, right? It's not just about him and a waiter at a restaurant, right? This could also be family, right? This could also be a friend of his. This could also be a coworker, right? This could be anyone in his life. And I want you to be very observant of that. Also, and a little bit of a pro tip, be observant of how he talks about these people, okay? So how he talks about these people, whether it be very respectful or very disrespectful, will also tell you a lot about this man. Because remember, if he's angry or upset about one of these friends, fam, or coworkers, and he's talking really, really nasty about them. I'm not just talking about like random gossip, you know, the gossip where it's like, oh, my coworker is really annoying. I'm talking about like, he's talking nasty about that person in his life. And you're like, damn, that's some really disrespectful stuff you're saying about that person. Make no mistake about it. When that anger and that vitriol is pointed in your direction, he will be talking that same nasty way he's talking. I'm not talking about good nasty, nasty. He's that same horrible and nasty way he's talking about that other person. He will eventually be talking that same horrible and nasty way about you to someone else. So don't think in your mind, I'm special. He's telling me this, but he would never talk about me like this. That is a personality trait. So what you're experiencing there is not an isolated incident, and it can be you the same way it can be the waiter, it can be the coworker, it can be the friend, or it can be the family member, okay? So be paying very, very close attention to that. You are not special. I am not special. None of us are special, okay? How someone goes about things, especially in that way, is how they're always gonna go about it with anyone, okay? I had this argument with one of my guy friends the other day about being special, okay? Let's hop into point number 8, okay? All righty. I drew you with a vacuum mouth. You got a vacuum mouth? All right, let's hop into point number 8. Point number 8 here. I hope you guys don't listen to me out loud, like, you know, in a place where other people can hear you listening to me, because you guys know we get kind of into it here. Did I spell this right? I did. So let's do this. You have to think to yourself, Should I draw that like that? Yeah, sure, whatever. We'll draw it like that. I don't know why I'm choosing to draw this like this, but it's just the vibe I'm feeling today, you know. I don't even think this looks like this, but whatever. Like, you know, you only live life once. Why am I drawing this like this? This is not how this looks. Okay, this is very confusing. I'll just say what this is. Okay. Why did I? Okay, we'll just do this. Chat, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. This is just so confusing. Okay. Fence? Fence? I should have just drawn a square. Someone said I knew it was a fence. Okay. Very important, right? Anything with boundaries, make sure you're paying attention to what a man would rather do, okay? Obviously, men are going to try you. They're going to try you. Now, there's a version of him trying you, right? Point number 8 is about boundaries, so I didn't introduce it. Point number 8 is boundaries. Men are going to try you. I'm not saying that your expectation is that men should never try you, but there is a limit to the amount that he should try you where it becomes obvious that he is not respecting you or respecting your boundaries, okay? Let me give you an example of that. Let's say, hypothetically, you go out on a date with the guy and you say, look, I'm really not into sleeping with guys on the first night. Cool. He's like, you know what? Yeah, sure, whatever. Can we still go back to my place and drink some wine? You get back to his place to drink some wine, right? And now you set this fence, you set this boundary that you don't want to sleep with him on the first night. So then you guys start kissing and making out a little bit because you're enjoying your time together. And he says to himself, well, wait a second, you know, I know you said this boundary is no sex, right? That's what you said, right? But do you think maybe, even though that boundary was no sex, we're kissing now. Do you think I could maybe escape that boundary a little bit and we could do something a little bit, you know, sexual here? And let's say, for the sake of example, as you guys are kissing and he tries it, okay, you know what I mean by tries it, he tries to put his hand in places, you're like, no, we can't do that. I was actually serious about that. And okay, he tried you. Now he has a choice to make. He can either say, okay, I get it. I understand. I'm not going to, you know, cross it again. I get what you're saying. Or in some cases, and this is where you have to be paying attention here, he'll say, oh, you're really not going to do this? Okay, we'll see. And then he'll kiss you again. And as he's kissing you again, once again, he says, I wonder if I can weasel my way out of this boundary and do what I really want to be doing here. And so he tries it again. And you'll notice this as a pattern, right? Over and over again, you'll set the boundary, you'll kiss him, you'll do something else, and then he'll try it again. You'll say no, he'll stop for a bit, and then he'll try it again. He'll say no, and then the cycle will just continue and continue and continue until he hopes that you give in. And some of you might be a little bit traumatized by this because for some of you, that's how you lost your virginity. For some of you, that's how you slept with a guy that you really didn't want to sleep with. For some of you that were just really naive at one point in your life, that could have been a situation where you're like, yeah, like I really actually didn't want to sleep with the guy, but after a while, he just kind of broke me down, so to speak, and then I ended up doing it, but I just didn't know any better at the time. And so this is the problem with that, right? And I want you to be paying attention to guys that do this, right? Nothing wrong with setting a boundary with the guy who tries it, because guys are going to try it. But then once you set the boundary, he has to be mature enough to say, okay, I tried it. You said no. I'm not going to continue to force it on you. I'm not going to continue to make you feel uncomfortable about it, whatever the case may be. And if his reaction is the opposite of that, to try and press you more about it, to try and put you in a situation where you feel the need to say yes, or to try to almost like bargain with you, that's very strange, to try and bargain with you to get you to cross this boundary. Oh, but you know, if we do it, you know, it doesn't have to be for that long, or maybe we could do it this way, or you don't have to worry, nothing's going to happen. And this bargaining process can also be a version of like not respecting the boundary. because it shouldn't be that pressing. And it doesn't just have to be sex, right? It can also be other things in the relationship that you just say, look, I'm not willing to do this, or I don't want to do this, or this just doesn't work for me, right? And rather than respecting that, or even trying to come up with a compromise so you guys can both be happy, he continues to want to press the issue in order to get his way. That's not, you won't be in a very happy relationship when a man is so fixated on getting his way, no matter what it is, that he can't possibly respect any one of your boundaries, okay, right? Someone said in the TikTok chat, she said, I had a guy tell me it would make him not sick anymore. What? Oh, damn, that's crazy. What's the chat? Tell me in the chat. What is the, someone says just the tip. What's the craziest thing you've ever had a guy say to you to try and get sex from you? Like the craziest, almost like excuse or bargaining tool to try and sleep with you. I'm actually very curious how crazy they could get. Because when guys be trying to bargain with it, they really just go crazy. Someone told me I was being childish, that it's his birthday. He said he's worried about his health, so he needed to sleep with you because he was worried about his health. Okay. Someone says you would change my life forever. That's what he told you. Someone says he was thinking about unaliving himself at the time and told me if we banged, he wouldn't ever die. What? He said that he wouldn't die if you guys slept together, he would stop wanting to unalive himself? What the helly? What the heliante? I got you dinner. Wow, okay. Told me we need to do it so we can sleep already. He needs to be my first. Oh wow. He said he would make me his girlfriend if I did first night. It's not painful. Girls get used to it from having a good time. Well, he actually may have not been lying about that. Maybe when he sleeps with girls, it really isn't painful for them. So that's 100% possible. But you should be thinking about why is it not painful for them when he sleeps with girls? Why do you think? I love you on the first meet. Slept with him on the first date. How do I recover from this? We'll talk about that another time. He said, I was making him sick. I couldn't do it for a while. You were making him sick? He told me he'd marry me? What? Wow. Oh, interesting. Okay. Wow. All right. Let's hop into our ninth point here. Wow, you guys had some stories there, okay? That's why we need to have a show where I bring you guys on and like you guys tell your stories. once I figure this out on Discord too, we're gonna have a stream where you guys call in as well. For sure, ski. We're gonna have a call in stream. Let's hop into point number 9. That was point number 9. Why did I do that? Oh, I did that wrong. Okay, so this is actually that was point number 9 that I just did, but this is point number 9 now. Okay. So we'll do this. Perfect. I love it. Okay. So here's the thing. Point number 9 is about being extremely unreliable. So I'm going to give you an example, and then I'm going to broaden the example to help you understand in a larger sense of the word unreliable what I really mean. Okay, so let's say, for example, a guy says, yeah, Friday, I want to really go to the aquarium, okay? So me and you are going to go see the fish, right? And I want to go see the fish on Friday, and today is Monday, right? Today. So today's Monday. On Friday, I want to go see the fishies with you, and that's the vibe that I want to do. He sends you some TikToks and all that good stuff. And then he sends you those TikToks, Friday comes, and he doesn't say anything to you. And let's say you were thinking to yourself that you guys would go see the fishies at 7 p.m. because that's when you guys both finish work and that's when you guys would have time to. But now that it's actually Friday, you're wondering to yourself, are we still going to see the fishies at 7 p.m.? Or is this off? Or what's going on? Or where are we meeting? Or are you picking me up? What are the details? And so this becomes a problem now because you're starting to think to yourself, well, okay, is this still a thing? Even though you said at the beginning it was a thing, now I'm not sure. This then becomes a pattern of behavior where you're constantly unsure of whether or not he'll keep his word on things that he promised you. Then you establish a dynamic in your relationship in which his word is no longer bond, where you start to think to yourself, okay, if he says something or he says he's going to do something for me in our relationship or even for himself, I can't actually rely on the idea that this will, what I call, follow through. But this is a major problem here because in a relationship, especially with your man, you should be able to trust in the fact that if he says he's going to do something for me, himself, or our relationship, then that means he's going to do it. He might not do it exactly right now. He might not do it in the next day, but rest assured, if he tells me or gives me his word on something, I can trust that it will get done. Okay? That is the way your relationship should be. Men who become very unreliable to you are useless to you. Useless. Very useless. Because if you can't trust that a man will keep his word on anything he says, how are you supposed to build a foundation of trust in your relationship? You can't. Because you're always anticipating, or I shouldn't even say anticipating, having anxiety about whether or not this thing that he said is actually going to come to fruition. Whether a good thing or a bad thing, you literally can't tell until the very last minute if this thing will actually follow through. This is the problem though. It puts you in a very anxious state that will turn you a lot more masculine because what you'll start to feel like is when he tells you on Monday, let's go see the fishies at 7 p.m., rather than you sitting back, relaxing and thinking how you're going to wear your beautiful dress or you're going to wear your tightest pair of jeans and you're going to look so good and you're going to look so feminine and sexy and seductive and just, feeling good about yourself and preparing your mind and spirit to go and see the fishies on Friday, right? Rather than being able to be in that mindset, as the week is going by, you're having anxiety like, oh my gosh, it's Tuesday, only a couple days until Friday, and he still hasn't told me anything about what's going on. Oh my God, it's Wednesday now, and we're only 48 hours from Friday. I hope he's gonna message me soon and tell me what's going on. Oh my God, it's Thursday now. Now I need to send a private message to Tomisin, and I need to ask him what should I do if he doesn't say anything about Friday anymore. Oh my gosh, it's Friday now. Should I message him in the morning? Should I wait a couple of hours? What should I do? This is not a good place to be mentally. When you start to feel and have this anxiety ongoing because you cannot rely on your man to follow through with anything. By the time you now get to this date, let's say you even do go on this date, right? You spent so much time in your masculine energy, right? That you're not even able to bring the right energy or presence of you or version of you to that date. Because now you've spent the last couple of days having anxiety about that date instead of even being able to enjoy anticipating going on that date. Does that make sense? All right. Let's hop into our third point, or 10th point. Okay. I want you to be able to show up on that date looking great, feeling great, smelling great, all that good stuff. Wait, would any of you wear a dress to the aquarium? I'm trying to think now, because I said wear a dress to the aquarium. Is the aquarium dress appropriate? What would you guys wear to an aquarium? I'm confused. I'm trying to think to myself, have I ever seen someone wear a dress to an aquarium? I don't think so. Maybe I'm tripping. Point number 10, confidence. Okay. Confidence. We'll do this. All right. Got to draw your head extra big. Extra big. Dress to an aquarium, right? Okay, interesting. Yeah, okay, interesting. I'm trying to think. Have I ever seen someone? Yeah, I guess a sundress would be appropriate to the aquarium. Dress up for the fishies. Okay. A dress to the aquarium. Okay. I gotta concentrate, chat. Hold up. Let me concentrate. Chill. Let me concentrate. Chat. Chill. Okay. So we'll put some labels here because I want us to kind of go through this together. So here's the thing. Point number 10 is about confidence. Sometimes you'll meet a man and you'll be thinking to yourself, tell me actually in the chat if this has ever happened to you. You meet a guy, and as you start talking and having conversation with him and getting to know him, you start to get this really weird feeling. I think he's jealous of me. Like, I'm a pretty woman, and I understand, I get pretty privileged, but I think he's actually jealous of the fact that, like, I'm a beautiful woman. Because every time that, a guy or even a girl, will give me a compliment, right? He knows that'll make me feel pretty. But it's almost like he wants to crush that. It's almost like when someone gives me, and I put this here because this is like a gold medal, right? It's like a gold medal. Right? It's almost like he wants to crush the feeling that I get when someone compliments me, right? When people, let's say, when people go out of their way for me, it's almost like he wants to remind me, and I feel appreciated. He wants to kind of tell me and remind me that I don't deserve it, right? So you'll start to notice after a while, things are going on in your relationship, right? And as good things are happening to you, it's almost like he starts to have a disdain for that. It's almost like he starts to be repulsed by that. It's almost like he really, really hates it when you're having a good time, when you're enjoying your life, especially if you're enjoying your life outside of him, right? So this can be even another version of, like, let's say you go out, right? And you have big I'll do it like this. So I'll put how he kind of beats you down for on this side and then the trophy on that side, right? So let's say also, for example, you have a big friend group and you have a big friend group that, you guys like to go out places, go on vacations together. They're all girls even. There's nothing weird about your friend group. But because of that, he says, oh, you like having fun and you like having fun without me being there, and you can actually have happiness in your life with your family and your friendships, and you don't need me to be the center of your happiness. How dare you? You're a hoe. You're always outside. You're always doing something. You're never in the house. Why? Because not really because you're actually a hoe or anything like that, but more because he doesn't like the idea that you're living such a good, amazing, fulfilling life, and he's not doing that. So there's an element of jealousy there. And it can feel very kind of weird and strange because you're like, why am I dating a man? And I feel like the man that I'm dating is like jealous of me and I'm a woman. Why is he jealous of me? Right? And it's very weird, but it's almost like a version of like when men see that you're really confident, when men see that your life is really fulfilled, when men see that you have abundance in your life and he doesn't have that, toxic men will try to bring you down to size so that you don't feel too important, too special, too amazing, that you realize you're wasting your time with a bum of a man, right? If just say hypothetically, if a guy knows that he really ain't much and he really doesn't have much to offer, and he also understands that you're a very attractive and desirable woman, subconsciously, he's going to feel like there's a ticking time bomb until another amazing, awesome man comes into your life, especially if you're outgoing, and helps you realize that you're wasting your time with a bum of a man, right? Subconsciously, guys who are bums can actually realize that. And so they feel threatened all the time because they feel like if you spend too much time outside, or if you spend too much time being able a space away from me, being able to maybe eventually recognize that like we're not of the same league, and you have men who have way more resources willing to offer you way more in terms of dating you and being your partner, then I'm going to lose you. So I need to continuously make you feel small by making sure you know that you're not all that, making sure you know that you don't deserve things, and making sure you feel bad about yourself or living your life or having abundance of happiness in your life, because if you start to feel too much confidence, then you might have so much confidence that you up and leave me. Okay? So take note of men who are talking to you, interacting with you as if they're jealous of you. If you feel like your boyfriend or the guy that you're talking to is very much interacting with you like a jealous girlfriend would, or, an ugly girlfriend would that is kind of jealous of the way that you're getting all the guys and she's not, you need to leave that guy, right? If you ever have that feeling with the guy you're around, you need to leave him, because it's not meant to be a competition of, oh, I'm going to outwoman you, or the blessings that you get, you don't deserve it, or that should be me in a weird case, or whatever the case may be, right? A guy shouldn't be around you trying to make you feel smaller than who you are, okay? Or trying to dim your light. You should always feel like that guy is trying to boost you up. And a lot of the times, it's not even about you, it's really about the guy, because the guys who actually have things going for themselves, they don't find it a problem to lift you up and make you feel good about yourself. The guys who feel horrible about themselves, those are the ones that genuinely want to pull you down. You know what I mean? Okay? Right? All right, chat. Do all these 10 make sense to you guys? You guys have any questions about the 10 that we just discussed here today? We can have lots and lots of discussion about those 10, all right? Sunfeather says, oh my God, my ex got mad at me for the pizza shop guy hitting on me, even though I didn't reciprocate, and left immediately. Meanwhile, he was hugging up on other women. Hugging up on other women, what? Like at the pizza shop? That's, even in general, that's kind of strange. That's really strange. Wow. Even jealous girlfriends are dangerous too. That is very true. It's not just a one-way street, but we obviously are focusing on the women, so that's why, or the men, so that's why, and I'm talking to women, so that's why I say that like that. Abike says, how long do you think men can hide their toxicity? I would say it really depends, and it depends on how you're spending time with this guy and what level of information you're going to be able to extract based on how you're spending your time. So let me give you an example. If you're dating a guy and a lot of your dates consist of a lot of stimulus, where let's say you guys can go out to a restaurant with loud music, lots of dancing, it's fun, but at the same time, there's a lot of stimulus that can stop you or distract you from just having one-on-one conversation in the 2 hours that you spend on a date. So if you do enough of those, it's a little bit harder to really pinpoint and understand how a guy will go about things and understand whether or not he's a toxic person. Because hearing him speak will give you some answers. Also being in multiple different types of situations, okay? One thing I will say, the process gets sped up in terms of knowing if a guy's toxic or not the moment you take your relationship out of isolation. So when you begin dating a guy, you're just dating him, only meeting him, and he's only meeting you. That's great. But the moment you bring in maybe your friends, your family, his family, coworkers, whatever the case may be, and you introduce your relationship to the outside world, now we have other, I guess we can say, factors going on into the relationship. And so it becomes harder to play the same role all the time when all these different factors are coming out, right? For example, a guy who's super, super jealous might not show you his jealous toxicity when you're just dating him and only paying attention to him. But the moment you guys go out together to, let's say, a party or an event, all of a sudden, when you're having a conversation with the guy, now you can really see his toxic jealousy to the point where he's like screaming or getting into a fight with the guy who tried to come up to you and talk to you, right? So that's why I say it kind of sometimes takes being able to see other people or be in your relationship around other people before you can really get a sense of that, okay? UK says, please discuss cheat men who only use vouchers and discounts on dates. Is he dating multiple women? Not necessarily. Now, see, here's the thing. I don't want to make it seem like, hey, a guy is only money and his only value and utility is money. And if he doesn't have money, then he has no utility. I don't want to be that shallow. So if a guy is going on dates and he is trying to save money by using vouchers and discounts, I won't say he's a bad person, but if he's doing that to save money because he knows that in order to take you out on a date, he needs to be on a budget to save the money so that he doesn't overspend, so that he still has money to pay his rent and stuff, I think that those men in a situation that tight should probably not be dating, okay? That's just my own personal advice. I'd tell that to men too. If you're in a situation where your money's so tight that you need to be cutting coupons to go on dates, I don't think you're in a position to be dating yet. You should probably get yourself into a better position financially. Then when you date, you don't have to date with so much anxiety. As a guy, he can't even be in his masculine energy properly when he's sitting here thinking, oh my gosh, I hope she orders the cheap sushi instead of the expensive one. I hope she doesn't order the 8-ounce steak. I hope she gets this. Like, if a guy's in that state mentally when he's on a date, he's not even going to be at his best anyways. I wouldn't be advising men to be doing that. But I don't think it necessarily means he's dating multiple people. Class says, can you make the 10 Commandments into a small video clip so I can send it to someone? Yes, this will get edited down into a smaller clip. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are watching from the TikTok chat and you missed any of the points that I talked about or you came late, you can always go onto my YouTube channel, which is just my name. It's my name's just on top of the screen on the top right, and you can type it in on YouTube, Tomisin, and you'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time, okay? I'm live on YouTube at the same time as I'm live on TikTok, so you can go there literally right now and see that, okay? Don't you worry. Let me see here. I missed a question. For point 4, money. Is it okay to ask a man if he's a provider? Let me see. Where did it go? Is it okay to ask a man if he's a provider and is a generous man? I feel like men can't hide being a provider and taking care of him financially. What do you think? So, LP baby, that's a great question. It's going to sound like weird advice. My advice to you, do not use words that will trigger men into thinking that you are here for the wrong reasons. Let me give you an example or understanding of what I mean by that. You know how if a man came on a date and he started saying things to you like, so how long does it take for you to sleep with a man, right? You'd be like, what? And he's like, yeah, like how many days do you usually go before you're ready to like sleep with a guy? You'd be like, why are you on this date just to sleep with me or go as long as it takes to sleep with me, right? You'd be thinking that's a very weird question to ask. Is the same thing where you don't want to go on a date and say trigger words like, do you consider yourself a provider man? It's going to sound like you've been listening to a lot of Shira, and then he's going to be turned off because even if he is a provider man, he's going to be thinking, why are you asking that question that way? You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with wanting that answer, but I think you get that answer simply by asking a guy, well, hey, like in a relationship, how do you like to go about it? That's a very general, vague question. Like, how do you like to treat your women? What do you think is like a perfect day being in a relationship, right? Like, what do you think treating a woman is? How do you consider that? How do you consider being good to your woman? Or what do you think is the things that you like to do for your girl when you're in a relationship? Those are more vague, general questions that will kind of get you into the same family of answers, but don't sound like, do you consider yourself a provider man, right? It's almost like a guy coming on a date and telling you he's a high value man. Then you'd be like, who are you listening to? You're watching a lot of podcasts, aren't you? Right? Sorry, chat. Okay? Don't go on your dates and talk like that. Nothing wrong with Shira. There's nothing wrong with her. But I just know from a man's perspective, the rich men, even they won't respond well to certain rhetoric because it'll be off-putting to them. Even the rich men, it's going to sound very weird, but the rich men especially, they want the deepest emotional connection. So if you can, when you do find a rich man, the last thing you want to talk about is money. Focus solely on the emotional connection, and I promise you, you'll get the money. For the men, like, that's just the way it is. For those rich men, the moment you start talking about money, they're very sensitive to that. The same way, imagine that you, as a really beautiful woman, you have a huge dump truck. When you walk by in your nice tight pair of jeans, all the men are staring at you, and you just know that you're a really attractive woman. As soon as a guy comes on a date with you and starts talking about your body, you're kind of like zoning out, because you're just like, yeah, you and everyone else, okay? Like, it becomes very uninteresting, and you want someone to talk to you about something with more depth than that, what everyone is ready to talk about. It's the same thing for men with money, right? So the moment you go on a date with a guy with money and then you're discussing money, it's like, okay, you and every other girl. So how are we gonna ever differentiate you from all the other people? That's how you have to be thinking about it, right? Someone says nobody's responding well to Shira ways. Hey, I'm not here to tell you guys they're doing right or wrong. I don't like to speak down on any other content creators. Shira has an audience for a reason, so I just like to say, my own perspective as well. Obviously, me being a man, on what I think really works on men and what doesn't. Okay, especially I have some rich guy friends, so I know how they date and respond to things. Okay. All right. Let me see. LP Baby says, what if a man asks for my body count, and if I want to sleep with him, can I ask him about his finances so we're both uncomfortable? No, it doesn't serve any purpose. If you don't like the rhetoric a man is speaking to you, you don't like his vibe, you don't like how he's going about dating you, then you just don't date that man. I don't like the idea. I guess it's maybe a social media thing, and it gets a lot of views and likes and reposts. That's why people say it. But I don't see the point in going on a date with the guy and you're like, oh, I don't like how you're asking about my body count. I don't like how you're talking about this or talking about that. These things you're saying are red flags. And then your response is, okay, let me say my own thing that'll make you more uncomfortable, or make the situation more awkward, or make it so we're both kind of like, WTF, what the helly? What's the point? Just don't be in a relationship with that guy. Just walk away from the date, end the date, make an excuse, come up with an emergency that you have to walk away from the date right now, and then afterwards just text him and say it's not working out. Like me, when you guys come to me, you guys should know and learn from coming to me. I'm always going to advise you to use your time and energy as efficiently as humanly possible. Meaning wasting as little time and energy on men who are not who you're looking for, and spending as much of your time and energy on the men who are who you're looking for. Okay? None of this going back and forth with the guy who you don't like, or you don't like how he talks, or you don't like his perspective, or you don't like how he approaches relationships, or he's not what you're looking for. No point. Okay? Don't deal with those guys. Don't waste time on those guys. Okay? Someone says, in the talking dating stage, how long is okay to go without talking? I always have a rule. 2 weeks is the maximum you get, 14 days, to be in no contact with someone who you're talking to or dating, okay? Especially in those beginning stages, so yeah, things happen. Someone could go through this, someone could go through that. But if 14 days that person has not and I'm talking about real contact. I'm not talking about sending you an Instagram meme or sending you a TikTok video, okay? If in 14 days that person doesn't check up on you, call you, like send you a real text at the very least, then that is considered done. And the reason when I say done, I mean that if he messages you or calls you after those 2 weeks, you don't even entertain the idea of having a relationship after that. Even if he calls you after those 2 weeks and says, I'm ready to be in a relationship, you consider it already done. That's why I give it, because someone said 2 weeks is too long. The reason I give it 2 weeks is because I don't want you to have any doubt in your mind that it's done after that point. Because if I say 1 week or I say 5 days, I know some of you will be thinking, if it is 5 days or 1 week, you'll be thinking, but Tomisin, now he messaged me again and he seems to actually be serious this time. So now you'll be considering it. In 2 weeks, he had a choice and he made his choice. And it definitely wasn't you. So there you can be at least more sure that it wasn't no accident that he didn't talk to you in that amount of time. But you also have to make sure, if it's no contact, or if it's, the space in between of you guys not talking, you better not do any reaching out. Don't like his pictures. Don't do anything to remind him of your existence, okay? Don't comment on one of his pictures. Don't even watch his stories, and that's nothing. Nothing that you think you could do to remind him of your existence. Don't do any of that. That way, for sure, if he reaches out to you, it's because he wanted to reach out to you, not because you went and tried to do some reminding. I don't want you to do that, okay? Maria says, for 1 point, what are some sneaky ways guys avoid taking accountability? Well, they could blame it on you. They could blame it on a third party as well. So, for example, let's say, like in the example that I gave where he was late to the date, he tells a story about how his brother was making him late because his brother needed this, or his brother had this issue or that issue, or whatever the case may be, right? Like, you'll get the sense too, people who can't take accountability, because it won't just be one excuse one time. You'll notice that constantly he's always blaming other people for the situation that he's in, and never just saying, you know what, like, I messed up, I should do better, okay? Like, and so you'll get that sense after a while of dating the person, because it's like a personality trait, okay? Ellie says he blocked me everywhere because he has a wife and only left me on Snapchat. What does that mean? Wait, I'm confused, Ellie. You're wondering what that means, that he blocked you because he has a wife? How are you confused about what that means? How are you confused about that? I'm confused. He blocked you because he has a wife. So he added you on Snapchat only because he doesn't want his wife to see him talking to you. Are we on the same page? We're on the same page, right? Like, why would you even be wondering what he thinks about you? He has a wife. Okay. All right. What's the, let me see. I'm going to do some extra questions here because I want to make sure I make up for the fact that I came a little bit late. I don't go around calling myself the prize anymore either. Actions speak louder than words. PH Joy, that's another version of, so there's this thing, because we're in 2025. So for those of you who are like Gen Z and even millennials, now that we've been exposed to more influencers, I'm technically an influencer, right? Or am I? Influencers, podcasters, content creators, we're all kind of watching very similar stuff. And so because people like to just make content for the sake of making content, you'll have a lot of people saying a lot of the same talking points on their shows or in their content. So what will happen, the effect that this creates is then when you consume that content, you might go out on your dates and be repeating that same rhetoric. So now it's gone to a point where we have like podcast dates where people are coming on dates without their own independent thoughts, and they're just speaking talking points in a way that makes them sound like an NPC. So sometimes when you hear those talking points, instead of it making you sound more intelligent or emotionally intelligent, it just becomes a little bit off-putting. So the perfect example of that is like, let's say, how would you feel if you went on a date and a guy was sitting down on a date with you and was like, I just wanted to tell you, I consider myself a very high value man. And I just want you to know that me, as a very high value man, I can only be with a certain type of woman. And, being with a high value man comes with a lot, and I just want you to understand that the value that I am is very, very high. Like, how would that make you feel if you went on a date and you were hearing that from a guy, right? Even though he's not saying anything particularly wrong, you're thinking in your mind, ew, like, please just stop, right? Like this podcast stuff is turning me off. So this is why I say you also don't want to go on your dates and be repeating podcast talk that will make you sound disingenuous, especially if that's not who you are and that's not how you want to come across. What is that? That's not how you want to come across, on your date. So an example of that would be like someone just said, going on your date and saying, I'm the prize. I hope you understand that I'm the prize. Men are going to be like, oh, okay, yeah, you're the prize. All right. It's very awkward and weird to it's like, what are you saying here? Like, that's very weird, right? Same thing in terms of like going on a date and talking about the fact that you have a 90-day rule. Don't talk like, there's nothing wrong with having boundaries, but just don't talk like an NPC. Oh, I have a 90-day rule. I don't sleep with a man until 90 days. It doesn't sound like you're even actually here to date. What is this? It's a fruit fly. It doesn't sound like you're actually here to date. It just sounds like you're repeating talking points, right? Nobody likes that. Don't be an NPC, right? Even though you're listening to my show, this is why I always try to say the whole purpose of the show is for you to understand the concept, take the concept, and then figure out how it applies to your own life. That way, when you go out on your dates, you don't sound and look like a robot. I don't want you to be overthinking about all the different things on your date. I want this information to be for your benefit so that you can understand how men react and respond to things better, have more information and knowledge. That way, when you go on your date, you have less anxiety. Not so that you go out on your date and you're thinking to yourself, okay, how do I talk like an NPC now and repeat all the talking points that Tomisin said on this show? That's why I teach more concepts rather than, oh, go on your date and say this exactly, right? Because that's not going to help you get to where you want to go, okay? Does that make sense? What are the key points for a date? Well, it depends what you're doing, where you're doing it, but I would always say gathering information. So you want to be gathering as much information about that man and his own life as humanly possible, because gathering information about that man's life will tell you a lot more about how he'll go about a relationship than anything else, right? Because they can prepare a lot of their answers. Okay, Haley says, is it okay to say I don't have a man in my house as it's, wait, what? As it's my son, what? Someone said, oh, she said, is it okay to say I don't have a man in my house as it's my son's home? I'm confused what you mean. You mean like you're living in your son's home? Is that what you're saying? Haley, I'm a little bit confused on what you mean by that. Artemis says, he is, that's why he's giving y'all bad advice. You're talking about me? Me, I'm giving bad advice? If you think that, then why are you here? I don't understand. If a guy does mean jokes about me, does that mean they're testing my limit, or are they just joking? So I don't want to say that mean jokes is necessarily a bad thing, simply because everyone has a slightly different sense of humor. Now, that's different from like constantly putting you down. If he just has darker humor, that's like a personality thing, in which case it's very important to also identify those type of things when you're dating someone, if you guys share the same humor. Because some people, they have a really dark sense of humor. So they'll say really dark things about themselves, and they'll say really dark things about other people, but like in a genuinely sarcastic and joking manner, because they're a very sarcastic type of person. That's a personality thing. It's a very, it's an acquired taste, I should say. So if you're not like that, you're not gonna like that. But if you are like that, then you'll be able to understand that type of way of joking, and it won't bother you as much. So that type of what you just said, right? Like the kind of mean or darker jokes, that's something where it's either your preference and it works for you, or it doesn't work for you. In either case, that's not a bad thing. You just have to recognize, oh, that's not my vibe. I don't rock like that. Or you might say, I do rock like that and I love that. I would love someone who would be like that as well, right? Kiki says cup of tea. Yeah, it just might not be your cup of tea, which is perfectly fine either way, right? Can you make a video about dating a married man, please? What did you just say? What did you just say? Sylvia? I'm not going to make a video about dating a married... Well, if I do make a video about dating a married man, it'll be to scold you about how dumb it will be to date a married man. I don't know what show. This show called The Players Club. It ain't called The Stupid Club. I'm actually trying to advise you all to get to a better place in your life and actually find happiness. You will never, ever, ever in a million years find happiness dating a married man. I will never teach you guys that in a million. You will catch me dead before I will, even in the afterlife. When I'm in heaven, I won't be teaching you about how to get with a married man. I would never, ever, ever waste your and my time giving you advice on how to date a married man. Never, never in my life. So if that's why you're here, you got to find someone else, because that's not going to be me. Okay, I won't waste your time like that. You won't find happiness that way. Okay, dating a married man. Go to Shira. I don't know. Does she? I hope she's not teaching that. Well. I hope she's not teaching y'all that. I hope there's no content creator teaching you guys that. That's not going to work out very good, okay? How can we get the best man with the options? What do you mean? The way to get the best man is to be the best woman. It sounds weird and silly, but if you really want to have your pick of any man, all you have to do, it's very simple actually. All you have to do is reverse engineer what do men find most attractive in a woman? Personality-wise, looks-wise, energy-wise, which is basically what we talk about on the show. Figure out what aspects of that applies to you, and then figure out how to work on yourself day to day to get closer and closer to that perfect ultimate version of yourself that is super attractive and seductive to men. The reason that I say that is because when you answer that question, then you will have as many options as the eye can see. And when you have as many options as the eye can see, then you'll be able to pick from the man who best serves you. Okay? So the best way for me to describe that is to describe that from the opposite sense. If I was a broke man, God forbid I would ever be a broke man. Let's not even put me in that scenario because I will never be a broke man. If there was a broke man that existed in life, and let's say he was complaining about the fact that he was always getting his girlfriend stolen and the girls that he was talking to stolen by the rich man with Porsches and Rolexes and Lamborghinis and nice houses and all that other stuff, right? And he's like, damn, I want to have a supermodel wife. I want to have a girl who, has a huge dump truck and can wear these jeans so well that she has so many curves and she's got this big old booty, right? I want that type of girl, and I don't want to lose my girl to the guys who have all the resources and are so rich and powerful, right? If I want a really beautiful, drop-dead gorgeous girlfriend that's super attractive both inside and outside, I have to figure out, what do women find attractive? Okay, I probably need to get my life together. I need to have direction. I need to have a career. I need to figure out how to get some more money in a legal way. I should probably go to the gym. I should probably work out. I should probably, whatever the case may be, right? Work on myself in this way and that way. I should, work on my mental health, my spiritual health, all this other stuff. As I build myself up and become a more attractive man to other women, then I can actually attract all of these different women and get one of the women that I'm so dreaming or desperately want to have in my life. And so the answer to the question is really about becoming a better version of yourself, right? And that's how you kind of solve that issue. If you're thinking about how to solve that issue in any other way other than becoming a better version of yourself, you'll be missing the plot. Because in order to attract those high quality partners, you have to be a high quality partner. And that requires an honest conversation with yourself, okay? Someone says Tommy is no brokey. I don't even want it to come out of my mouth. Hypothetically, if I was nothing, okay? If not trying to level up, instead of complaining, he's playing around. Okay, then let him play with himself. Let him literally play with himself. There's nothing wrong with that. Guy from last year keeps contacting me. He says he wants to be friends. I still have feelings for him. I don't know what to do. You're not gonna be friends with a guy you once tried to date, okay? Or that tried to date you. Once you cross that boundary is done, okay? So you don't allow him to have access to you in a way that's gray or casual. You understand what I'm saying? It's either he puts in effort and actually dates you, or if not, he not gonna get no opportunity with you, okay? Very, very, very important. All right. Let's see here. Mary says, after what I've been through, I'm coming with heavy boundaries. He keeps disrespecting me so much, not even going to say a word, but I will disappear. I came to a place where I'm not going to teach a grown man. Hey, that's the perfect place. See what he has to say.
You have horse. They want to see you every day. I'm tired, baby. I got work. I got to go to work. I can't see you today. They find out you have horse. They want to see you every day. I'm tired, baby. I got work. I got to go to work. I can't see you today. They find out you have horse.
Okay, I hope there's no under 20-year-old people in the chat. Okay, that's just where we're starting, I guess. I won't confirm or deny whether I know anything about that.
Obviously, everybody struggles with loneliness, but I think that a huge reason that men tend to struggle with it more than women is that women seek all-encompassing friendships. That is a friend that sees every facet of them. There are pros and cons to this. The pro is that you can feel almost equally seen and held and valued by your friends as you do a romantic partner. The negative aspect of this is that when your friends are all ride or die friends, you are more likely to experience friendship breakup, friendship heartbreak, stress, anxiety, and grief within your friendships. Because when you want someone who overlaps with your whole being, you're really gonna feel it when someone drifts a little bit this way, right? Whereas men tend to pursue friendships where they're being seen for a couple of aspects, and they often hang out in groups where like one friend sees this aspect, this friend sees this aspect, and every single time I'm dating a guy or when I talk to a guy friend about this, the way that they talk about their guy friend specifically will be like, oh yeah, I love Frank, however, I don't really like A, B, and C about him. I don't really get that half of Frank. But you know what? I don't talk to Frank about that stuff. That's not me and Frank's friendship. Me and Frank, we talk about this. So like this hypothetical man and Frank, they're like this. So if they're like kind of rolling around and changing, it's not gonna shatter their friendship. I don't think there is a correct way to do friendship, all encompassing versus partially encompassing. However, I think that a huge reason that
I'm gonna tell you exactly why that happens, but she's 100% right, but I'll tell you in a bit.
men crave romantic relations often more than women is that romantic relationships tend to take the shape of an all-encompassing relationship, right? So if a man and a woman are dating, the woman most likely has other ride or dies in her life. And while obviously she will be grief-stricken if they break up, she will not be without people who see her in a full sense. Whereas men get really used to the relationship dynamic of having someone who sees them in a full sense, knows about their family trauma, knows about their work drama, asks about their hobbies, knows all facets of them. And to lose that when all of your other friends are like only partially encompassing, it doesn't mean that you're lonely. It doesn't mean that you don't have real community and love for those friends, but it is a very different type of being seen. When I talk about this idea that like men aren't getting enough from their friendships, either with guys in my real life or online,
So, hate to cut her off, but she said something very, very true. And I love what she said, actually. So for guys, it is very much like that. The simpler word is compartmentalizing our friendships. I might be friends with guy number A, and me and him might have a connection that is very centered around sports and playing basketball together. We might be in the same men's league. And so we'll talk about sports. Maybe we'll go and watch a sports game together. Maybe we'll have, debates about sports, be in a group chat with all the other guys in our men's league. But that isn't necessarily my friend in all the other aspects of my life. I might have another guy that I do business with, and he's like my business partner, and we collaborate when we want to make money, and we talk about business things. And so you have all these different guys in your life that serve different purposes. But I think the main difference as well for guys, and the reason it works for us, is because when we get into friendships, we're not looking for any one of our men, not men, any one of our men, any one of our friends to change or mold into what we need them to be. Not to say that women want that, but we don't need a man to be more like us or to see us in every aspect of our life for us to feel good around them or feel safe around them, right? So it's kind of like one part of our brain gets activated to hang out with this person for this reason, and then we kind of just focus on that. We don't focus on any other aspect of our relationship. And then when we hop into our other relationship, we focus on those aspects. We don't focus on the other ones. So for us as men, I guess just the way our brains work, that really works for us. But I do agree that that's why the actual relationship with a woman is the first time they have a relationship that's more all-encompassing, as opposed to being something that it's like compartmentalized, right? That's why I actually do advise for you as a woman, you should embrace the idea of being your man's best friend, being his therapist, being the one he always wants to talk to and tell everything to, because I think that's actually a really healthy place for a man to be in. When anything that happens in his life, the first person he wants to talk to or tell it to is his wife. Because my understanding is if that is someone outside of his wife, especially if that's a different woman in his life, you will have a problem as his wife or his girlfriend. Trust me, you'll feel jealous, you'll feel like less of a priority, and the scale will just feel off if that person is not you. Trust me. So it's better to embrace that being you and want that to be you, as opposed to like saying, I'm not going to be his therapist, I'm not going to be his this, I'm not going to be his that, because then you ain't going to be very happy with the end result, right?
The secret to this shit, sister, is really just walking away from anything that doesn't serve you. If it's a job, if it's a man, if it's a friend, whatever the fuck it is, the moment that you feel like it's not serving you no more and there's no fixing in it, you just gotta walk away. That's the secret to this life shit. And they bamboozled us. They tricked us into thinking that we gotta stay in places that we don't want to be. If it's robbing you of your peace, bitch, Walk the fuck away. Free yourself. You are not trapped anywhere. When you stay in places that are not serving you, you are literally robbing yourself of your mental sanity. You really just got to be willing to come up off anything. I don't care if you've been married to the nigga for 20 years. At the 20th year and the 10th day in, if you decide it's not in alignment, you have to be willing to walk away.
Okay, yes and no. This is it's called TikTok rhetoric. I call it TikTok rhetoric because yes, in a vacuum, it sounds good, but obviously it's a little bit harder when you're actually in the situation. I try to give strategies based on real emotions, not a perfect world. Yes, in a perfect world, we'd all walk away as soon as something doesn't serve us. In certain situations, it requires a little bit more massaging. If you've been married to someone for 20 years, it's not going to be as simple as just walking away. But definitely have this mindset when you're going into dating, okay? That if something doesn't serve you, then you're going to walk away. Because when you have a less investment in the beginning, that is when you should really be hard and very stern with your decision making and not be like, oh, well, I'll see this out. Well, we'll see how it plays out. Well, I'm going to keep trying and things like that. Okay. That's not the time to be doing that. If you're in a marriage with someone, okay, and you've been married for 5, 10, 15 years, that's the time where you kind of try to figure out other ways to do this or get this done without just walking away. But for those of you who are in the early stages of dating, talking, you're still meeting people on Hinge, you should adopt this mindset, right? Until you meet someone who actually does serve you in a relationship and you don't have to continue forcing it and being in your masculine energy just to make it work. Okay. You don't have to be in that position. So there is a balance there. I wouldn't go to the extreme of if you've been married for 20 years, then just walk away. It doesn't work the same way. Okay. Like maybe we could have some conversations. Okay. Like let's be real, rational human beings. All right. Just saying. All right.
And no.
That trend where it's like every time I reconsider dating somebody, I remember how my ex had me looking is astonishing. But also, it is reiterating something that I try and tell all the women in my lives all the time. Men are detrimental to women's health, like almost as bad as cancer. They will sit
I hate when people talk like this, but go on.
and take your soul, your entire life force, all of your love, all of your beauty, and leave you with nothing and let you wither away. Like time and time again, they are detrimental to women's health. You have to find a nigga, and don't get me wrong, because I love a good nigga too, but you have to find a nigga that genuinely gives you something you cannot give yourself. Like as a woman, as a man observing women, you have to find a man that will give you something, because I promise you, women can supply their own stuff. Men, women, they can figure it out. Men, they need you. They are preying on you. They are leeching off of you like demons. Release them. That trend where it's like every time.
So I will say, oops. Okay, I'm not muted. I will say there's an element of truth to this. I just don't like the way he started off saying, because I just don't want you to. We're not on the show so that you will hate men. That's not why we're here. Because if you leave the show feeling like you hate men and you never want to date and you don't even want to explore a relationship, we want you to be happy. We want you to fall in love. We want you to have love. That's not why we're here. So that's the thing, right? I don't want you to leave thinking that there are no good men out there, because there are. But there are also a lot of trash men out there. There's also a lot of men that will just simply flat out take advantage of you. So that you should be aware of. That you should protect yourself against. So when he was talking about being an energy vampire, 100,000%, you have to protect yourself against energy vampires. Now, there will be men that come into your life that will want to give and want to invest in you and want to do things for you. So you also have to have the mindset that those men are also out there for you. Now, yes, you're going to have to do some digging, some learning, some analyzing to be able to sniff out the men who aren't that, but definitely that man is out there for you. So we're just working and preparing you for that day to come, so that when that day does come, you're doing everything the right way and you're getting the outcome that you desire. But that outcome, you should be of the belief that that outcome is out there for you. I don't like the idea of, thinking, oh, well, all the men are trash, so you're never going to find a good man, because where does that leave us, right? We're on this whiteboard all the time, not every day, but we're on this whiteboard all the time. I'm teaching you guys all the time, strategizing with you all the time to get to a desired outcome. not just to say, well, yeah, the men are trash, they suck, and we'll just cry about it and be sad about it. No. We might be sad about it for a little bit. We might recognize our wrongs or the ways that we, messed up in the past, but we're doing all of this to get to a desired outcome, okay? You come here to me, with me in the Players Club, to strategize, to actually get somewhere, not just for us to complain together and be sad together. That's not the purpose of this, okay?
Nina! Warning! I'm outside tonight, guys, so don't say I didn't warn ya. If you feel any wavelength vibrations right now, it's my minge. Keep your man indoors and keep your minge indoors, alright? Nina! Warning! I'm outside tonight, guys, so don't say I didn't warn ya. If you feel any wavelength vibrations right now, it's my minge. Keep your man indoors and keep your minge indoors, alright?
I've never been to the UK. Is this the UK vibes? Please, those of you who are European, is this the UK? Is this the London vibes? Is this I've never been, so I was considering going. I don't know if this is the London vibes. Someone said yes, this is the London vibes. Interesting. I don't know if this is for me. I don't know if this is for me. I don't know. I was thinking about going to, I don't know.
Run if she says any of these three things while dating. This is why I give you great questions to ask. You open her up, you allow her to talk. That's how you give to her. And the more comfortable she is with you, the more she's going to want to tell you some really wacky, perhaps inappropriate details about her past. Because if you're chill and you can handle yourself, your environment, and her, the sky's the limit. 1, I know this is the best date that you've been on, but why don't you tell me about some of the other ones you've had recently? If she says, oh, well, I'm trying to respect myself more. Dude, she's been around. You know how to treat this one. 2, well, what's the craziest drug you've ever done? If cocaine is mentioned, she'll sleep with you, but I strongly recommend Party Girl, FWB. How is someone like you single? Pay attention to the types of guys she dates, where she lays her bait, if you will. Because there's always 3 sides to every story. Her side, that dude's side, and the truth. So sit back and listen. If she mentions cheated, cheating, or the like, you know where she stands. Run if she says any of...
This is actually not terrible advice from the standpoint of he's talking about the concept of what I talk about, asking good questions and allowing someone to answer in their own honest way of what they think is the most logical, necessary answer. He's being sneaky. So just be aware. Well, to be honest with you, this video has only 9,000 likes and 162 comments. And it's mostly girls commenting on it. So unfortunately, actually, fortunately for you, most guys aren't smart enough to ask good questions because they're just not thinking about that on dates. And because you're smart enough to be here in the Players Club thinking about that, you'll be the one for the most part going on your dates and asking these good questions. I want us to watch this video together because this is hilarious to me. I really want us. It's kind of like the exact version of what we just talked about. That's why I want us to watch this together. It's so funny to me. Oh my God, this is so funny to me. Sorry, I really get a kick out of this. I actually seen this the other day. That's why I wanted to show it to you guys. So remember how I was talking about earlier? I was like, podcast talk is a thing now on dates. So if you go on dates and you have too much podcast rhetoric, it's going to come across disingenuous. So this is a perfect example of that from your perspective as a woman.
Hey, I just wanted to come up and say that you are beautiful and I would allow you to be my girl. You have a boyfriend? Where's he at though? You see, I just caught you in a lie. I did. Yes, I did. The reason you lied to me about having a boyfriend is because you're scared to open yourself up to a high-value man such as myself. Most women don't want to admit that they want a high-value man like me. So, we can stop joking around. Here's my phone. Go ahead and type in your number. What? You weren't kidding about having a boyfriend? If that's actually true, then you're used up. You're used goods. And I don't even need that. I don't even want that. Because that means you've given yourself up to another man, and that man is not me. Hey, I just wanted to come up and...
There was another one he made, and I was just like, it's so cringe that it's good. because it's perfect. It perfectly shows. Let's see. Was it this one? Let's see.
Hey, I noticed you're here all alone, which means you're probably craving some attention from a high-value man. I can tell from looking at you and analyzing you, you've shown clear physical signs of wanting a high-value man to come in and make you feel safe. I myself do fall under that category. Yes, I do. I make over 5 figures per quarter, and I happen to be a little over 5'6", which puts me in the top 1% of men in my age group. So you, my lady, have successfully caught the attention of a high-value man. Why don't you come on over and sit in the VIP section with me over there? Nah, it was nothing. Never mind. I can drop you off at home, save you money instead of having to pay for an Uber. This thing, well over 4 figures. Come on, let's go. Don't be shy. You're playing hard to get, aren't you? Oh, classic. I love when you females play hard to get. I learned about the psychology of how that works at the university. What university? Oh, no. As Hustlers. Yeah, I learned that in the female domination section. I'm gonna allow you to be my female, but I do have a screening question. What is your body count? You don't want to answer that? Oh, that tells me everything I need to know. Yes, it does. You've been getting around, haven't you? Yeah, it's a clear sign. I can tell that that's true because you actually blinked when I was talking to you. Hey, I noticed you're here all alone, which means you're probably...
So it's a perfect example of, even though you guys are watching my show and I'm just teaching you how to strategize about relationships, you have to make sure, like, when you go on your actual date, you keep it, like, natural, if that makes sense, and you implement our stuff that we talk about in a way that doesn't come across as if you're sitting here like interviewing him, or you've been listening to a content creator and now you're just repeating back exactly what he told you to ask on the date, right? I always tell you guys, whenever I say to say something like this or do something like that, don't just be thinking how you parrot it exactly like how I said it. Because if you do too much parroting, it's going to come across weird and disingenuous, right? When he's talking about, I'm a high value man, I'm a high value this, I'm a high value that, it sounds like he's speaking talking points that you heard from someone else, right?
Craving some attention from a high value man. I can tell from looking at you.
Someone said, what's his page? It's Reb Skeezy. So RebSkeezy on TikTok. It came on my For You page a couple of times. What's this one?
As a man that's over 5'6", that makes well over $20,000 a year, I'm considered the top 1%. I'm a high value man. If your body count's not 0, then you're just not a high value woman. If you are my woman and you are not gonna stay at home and clean and do the dishes and microwave my pizza rolls and bring them to me while I'm paying the bills, then I don't need it. And that's just where I'm placing myself right now. As a high value man, you need to find yourself that woman that's gonna equally reciprocate that. As a man that's over 5'6".
It's just too funny. It's just too funny. It's cringe and it's funny at the same time.
Hey, I just wanted to come up and say that you are beautiful.
Enough high value bet. Okay, wait. Let's do a few more because I wanted to show you guys I wanted to watch a few more things with you guys. Let's see. So we did her.
Some people know that they wouldn't be able to sustain a connection with you or have a dynamic or be in proximity with you. So they'll create circumstances to repeatedly make you feel rejected by them. And if you don't have a deep-rooted sense of self or a strong ability to return to self, that can trigger a subconscious wound of needing to be accepted, or just whatever your relationship with rejection is will pop out regardless of who it is. Some people know that they wouldn't be able to sustain a connection with you.
So it's kind of like the reason that this works so well is because if you're paying a lot of attention to what someone else isn't, or whether or not you want to be with someone based on if they're worthy of your time and energy, or if they're like a quality partner, the best way to get you off of thinking that way, because if you're analyzing that too much, you'll realize the truth, which is that you shouldn't be with this person because they're way below your league. The best way to get you to stop thinking that way is to get you to start thinking about how you prove yourself to that person. Because once you're thinking about how you prove yourself to that person, you're no longer analyzing that person anymore. So even if they treat you like trash, even if they're a horrible partner, even if they're useless to you, right? You're not thinking about that because you're focusing on how you prove yourself to that person that they will then accept you. So there's a lot of actually that psychology is also even in business and in sales, actually, to make you feel before you think about whether a product is worth your money. You're now thinking about whether you're going to make the wait list or be on the wait list or get chosen to have the opportunity to buy the product. Then you stop thinking about how much the product is costing you because you're thinking about how you can be the person who gets chosen to buy the product. Very weird, but it works.
A lot of women believe that there's no harm in going out on a date with men, and I'm talking just dates, right? No sex, no expectation of anything afterwards, a first date, y'all get dinner and y'all go home. Y'all probably never even see each other again if y'all don't like each other. And they would look at that situation and be like, no harm, no foul because I didn't sleep with him. Let me just tell you, there is harm, there is foul. I think that a lot of women have not come to grasp the concept of them having social currency and the value that a man obtains from even being in proximity to a pretty woman. But men have been clocked this. Men have long understood the social currency that they gain from just having pretty women around them. And you see it in all different facets of life, even as something as simple as the club. The guys want the pretty girls in the section with them, right? What are they truly gaining from that? Even the term trophy wife. Women are a social status to men. You'll even hear other men say that they know exactly how a man is living by looking at his wife. If she's put up, if she's well kept, if she looks good, if she shows up and shows out, he knows that that man is truly taking care of her. Just the visuals of a woman next to a man is going to be a positive thing for him. And this is before we even get into the Snapple facts about married men making more money on average. Right? They're able to move up in their careers faster and make more money because they're seen as more trustworthy just because they're married and have somebody depending on him. I want women to stop believing that just because they didn't pay for the date and they didn't give a man sex that she didn't give anything to him during that date. Yes, she did. You are making that man look good by even sitting across the table from him. And my whole thing is, are you going to trust God to reveal your spouse or not? Because if you trust God to reveal your one spouse, because you only get one wedding, one marriage, one true marriage at least in this lifetime, if you really trust him, you wouldn't be taking it in your hands to, oh, let me go out on as many dates as possible. That's not the method. You can go out on dates for years and not get married. You're either going to trust God with your dating life or you're not.
Okay, so she said a lot of things in this clip. I think the biggest thing that she's really trying to like fire home is be very selective with who you spend your time and energy on, which I 100% agree with. And don't do things just for the sake of doing them. Also, I hate this terminology I hear on TikTok. I hear the kids saying, don't do things for the plot, okay? The whole idea of doing, okay, I'm going to rant for a second because I really hate this, okay? I really hate this. This will be like, before we hop into our next one, this will be the last thing. Okay. I know I see a lot. I hear a lot, I observe a lot. I know that when you get with your girly friends, part of the fun of seeing your girlfriends again, especially if you haven't seen them in like a couple of weeks or something, can be catching up on your love life. It's not a crime. Something I've noticed, and this is where you can hop in, you can tell me if I'm completely off, I have no idea what I'm talking about, or I'm crazy, or not, right? Sometimes there can actually be an entertainment aspect to meeting up with your girlfriends and being like, okay, tell me about your love life tragedies in the past 2 weeks. Okay. She tells you about how this guy did this, texted her that, he hasn't done that. I went on this date here and this guy took me out here. This other guy took me to a basketball game. I was courtside. This other guy, he took me out to this restaurant and we went here. Then we went back to his house after. She shares her thing, right? Then you go, or you're like, oh my God, that's crazy, that's wild, that's insane, right? You laugh, you giggle, you have fun, right? Then you go and you share yours as well. And then you have your own crazy stories. I went here, I did this, I did that, right? And then you guys laugh. And then that becomes like your bonding time to share your stories of the things you went through in your love life. Now, here's the problem with that, okay? And you guys let me know if I'm off. If you're in a situation where you only really have like one guy you're talking to and it's pretty consistent and nothing super wild or super crazy happens. Now, when you go and you hang out with your girlfriends and you become accustomed to telling them your wild stories and they share with you their wild stories and what interesting new things are going on in your life, if you just have a man who's consistent and you're only really dating one guy and you don't have anything crazy happening because the relationship is just consistent and healthy, now all of a sudden you have less to talk about in your friendship with your girl. But the problem with that is it creates a cycle in which you feel like the most interesting version of your life is dating multiple people at once so that you have so many different stories to share with your girls for the plot. Are you following me? So it can kind of be like a catch-22 in the sense that, like, as you're having your friendships, the most interesting version of your friendships is doing things for the plot so you can tell your girlfriends about the different things you did for the plot. The problem with that is that you're no longer living for yourself. You're living for the entertainment aspect of your dating life, meaning you're just going out on dates for the sake of having a story to tell after, even though you might know deep down in your heart, even before you go out on the date, that the guy that you're going out on a date with is not your type. You would never take him seriously. He's not husband material, none of that. But you know it'll be an interesting story for the plot to share with your girls after. So yeah, you have a cool story that you and your girls can laugh about, but then you're also wasting a lot of time and energy on men who you never intended to be with in the first place. So just something to think about. Maybe I have no idea what I'm talking about, but something to consider as well when you're going out on your dates. We did have a donation here that I was supposed to answer earlier. Oh, Maria donated $2 in the YouTube chat. She said, what are some ways men will avoid accountability? Oh, I answered that because you said that in the chat and I answered it. And then Miss Prosperity also donated $2. Thank you so much. Okay, let's hop into our next and final segment of the day. Those of you who have been here long enough know exactly what is coming. So you better spam it up in the chat. Those of you who are new here, you're in for quite a treat, okay? Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your entire home. If you don't know the time, I'm going to tell you the time. Should I do it loud or quiet, chat? Someone said cover your ears. Which one should I do, loud or quiet, chat? Score time. Okay, chat, enough silliness. Let's hop into our Discord segment of the show here. For those of you who don't know or understand what that was, Discord time is essentially where all the amazing members of our Players Club Discord community get an opportunity to ask me a question of their relationship or their situationship with a man, and I answer it live on the show, okay? Now, there are a few different ways for you to submit your question to me. I'm going to explain all of the 3 different ways you can submit your question. First way, you go into the link in my bio if you're watching this on TikTok, or in my description if you're watching this on YouTube. Click where it says Players Club Discord. And then when you hop into the Discord, click the Relationship Advice Forum, the free section, and then you can drop your question in there. Make sure you format it the way, the way that all the other people have been formatting our questions here. Now, obviously, you see all these highlighted questions I'm scrolling through. These are questions I haven't yet gotten to, so it's going to take me a couple weeks to get to your question if you ask it today in the free section, just by the nature of all the questions that we have here. Now, for those of you who are impatient and you don't want to wait that long to get your question answered, there's another way for you to submit your question, and this is through our Relationship Advice Premium section. These questions are questions that they get to skip the line of people because essentially they're submitting in a different way. It's like a skip the line pass where I read these questions out first before I read out the free section questions. Now, the way that you're allowed to skip the line is by going to the link in my bio on TikTok or in my description on YouTube. You click where it says Premium Discord Relationship Advice. Then when you click that, you'll be prompted to donate to the show. And then you'll also be prompted in your donation to send in your Discord username and the title of your question. And then I'll see that that's your question and that's you because I'll get a notification notification when you send in the donation. And then when I get that notification, I'll be able to know your question is in here and it's supposed to be in here, okay? So these were a couple that I answered from before via voice message because I missed the last show, okay? So for those of you who want to ask me a question but you don't want your information to be read out on the show, we have what I call, oh, where'd it go? Where is it? Yeah, where's the private? Hold up. I'm tripping here. There we go. We have a private relationship advice forum. The way that this works is you can click this link, which is in our Discord, or go to the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. You click where it says private relationship advice. You can submit a question to me via message, like you can type it out. When you type it out, you send it in to me. And when you send it in to me, then I respond with a voice message, usually 8 to 10 minutes long. It's actually me. You'll hear my voice and I'll give you advice or perspective on your situationship or relationship. And no one else will see your question. It's just between me and you. So you can be as personal as you want, okay? So I think I did these two from last time because I did them via voice message. So I think we are going right into the free section. So let me scroll all the way down here. Okay, and make sure I don't miss any of these, okay? So this one comes from LP Baby, all right? And let's read this out here. Okay, Stretchy Poo Time. Hi, Tommy, may want to take a sip of water. Let me put my glasses on. I don't know why my glasses are off. Hi, Tommy, you may want to take a sip of water. And a little stretchy poo for this one, please. Audience under 25 years, kindly consider taking a rest break, okay? This is a very mature question. May you please teach men to make us cry during pineapples? What? You said you don't make relationship videos for men because it's pointless because they are pineapple motivated. Pineapples just means SEX chat for those of you confused. It's our code word. So I was curious to ask, why don't guys want to invest time into this skill in particular? Simple answer is because they're selfish. And I'll just be honest with you, there is more men that will be more focused on their own pleasure rather than their partner's pleasure than there will be men who actually care about your pleasure even more than their own or are even considering it. This is the honest truth. I can't lie to you about that. So it's just being selfish flat out. Would you be open to teaching men how to improve their D game? Absolutely not. I have no interest in doing that. Not even a little bit. Is this pointless? I would say the men who want to learn, they will learn. And they simply learn by talking to women and actually asking them questions. It's the same way I learned, right? The way it's not like I can't even teach a man how to have a better D game. Really and truthfully, it's a woman that will teach a man how to have a better D game because she understands her own anatomy and she understands how to explain this is the position that works. This is what doesn't. This is what feels good. Touch here, don't touch there. So even in my explanation, I'm not even explaining to you my own real understanding, if that makes any sense. I'm explaining to you my understanding through other women. So if they really wanted to get to the source, they just go to women, which then you just ask your woman. If you do enough job being curious and asking a woman and trying to understand her body as a man, you'll get the same answer. It's not going to be me that's going to teach a guy how to have a better D game. Can you please teach men how to make women cry during pineapples? No. Also, because I'm assuming you're talking about crying in the sense of crying from being overwhelmed of like just feeling so much good emotion that you're crying. That's a culmination of a lot of things happening at once that's just not something you get taught. You either have that skill set to be able to do that for women and with women, or you don't. I can't teach that, to be honest with you. You either have it or you don't. It's a talent thing, I should say, okay? I know men are too prideful to ask you, but I'm sure they want to learn deep down and would need your help because if I was a man and I was lacking and my D game was weak, I'd want to learn this. Come on, don't be stingy with your knowledge, Tommy. Help bros out. I'm sure the universe will reward you 100-fold for your work. You'd probably even win a Nobel Prize. Just think about it, man. You guys also have to understand, let's say hypothetically I did start a show where I was teaching men. That means you guys would get less of me. You get less videos from me, less live streams from me. Like I'm only one human being. So if I allocate more time into something else or teaching a different group of people, that would mean that you will get less of my energy. So you'll learn less. you'll get less information and you'll get less knowledge. So if that's a trade-off you're willing to have, then sure. But you also have to be thinking about that as well. When some of you guys are like, why don't you teach the men this? It's like, if I teach the men this, then you won't get any knowledge or advice or anything, right? Is there a reason for your reluctance in not wanting to teach men? For the most part, men don't want to learn. They're not that interested in relationships past how can they sleep with the most amount of women for the least amount of effort, energy, and money. I just be super, super real with you. Like, majority of like alpha male teachers, high value men teachers, they're just in the basic sense, they're teaching men how to get the most amount of women, date the most amount of women, and sleep with the most amount of women for the least amount of energy, the least amount of resources, and the least amount of money. That's like the basic idea of what they're trying to like help men understand. So to be real with you, I don't have any interest in teaching men that, because I know that's really what they're there for and the information that they want to get. And also, like, I'm more fascinated with the emotional side of relationships, which I know most men, they don't really care too much about. I'm not going to say that's all men, but most men, they're not really that fascinated by that side of a relationship. They want the end result, okay, which is fine. Also, most important question, may you please advise us on how to find inherently freaky, monogamous, emotionally stable men? The same ways that I've talked about this before, like in terms of like finding a husband, right? One, you work on yourself and then you put yourself in the right environment. So that environment isn't going to be a club, a bar, or a dating app, right? So let's start there, finding you other places to hang out that aren't those three places. And once we can at least start there, we can start working on, well, what are your interests? Where do you like spending your time? Do you like going for hikes? Do you like to be in the gym? You like going to dance classes? You like going to cooking classes? Like, what do you enjoy? Then at least, if you do meet a man there, when you meet a man there, because there's men everywhere, you'll at least have a shared interest. That's a perfect start, right? Let me and the ladies know where to find these inherent freak-a-leaks at. The freaks are everywhere, and good men are everywhere as well. But you should start in the places that you find interesting, so you're not there solely to meet men. Also, this full disclosure, I'm not interested in having pineapples like that with men. But as you know, I'm very curious from that one video you reacted to, I think I'm going to say a ways back. Also, after watching your complete milestones before Pineapple's timeline, I was left with questions. Please see below. Also, in your events that must happen before Pineapples, you suggested it's okay to give oral before Pineapples. Yes. What's your rationale on that? Isn't it just a trap to lose your best soldiers? I'm genuinely curious about this and wanted to know your thoughts and clarity. Like, how am I going to realistically just put the pause on during Pineapples and all that other stuff and just say, okay, time to stop? The reason I say that is I'm actually trying to protect you from at least dipping your toe in the water and seeing what the reaction is after that. So for example, let's say you start dating a guy for a couple of months and let's say you and him do some oral stuff, okay? And obviously it's not actually sleeping with him, but you're like getting on the way there. And then after doing the oral stuff, all of a sudden you notice him pulling away a little bit. All of a sudden you notice him not giving you the same amount of energy he was before. This is actually a good thing because now you dipped your toe in the water and you gauged that his reaction was to pull away. So now you know I better not sleep with him because if I sleep with him, he's going to do this times 10 and he's really going to get what he wants and then he's going to be gone. So it's better to realize that not having given the full thing and testing the waters out before you go ahead, jump right into it, and then you realize that after. That's why I'm trying to basically slowly but surely protect you from, by the time you finally sleep with them, you can have as many answers and as much information as possible. That way you don't feel like he does a 180 afterwards, for the most part. You know what I mean? Like, I know these are your suggestions. I'm just curious to know your thoughts and rationale and what clarification on why you think it's okay to give a man head and being butt naked. I'm making this assumption based on your timeline video before being fully committed and being boyfriend and girlfriend. I feel like oral can be a trap for a lot of people. It can be if you don't have the right willpower. So that's why I say if you don't have willpower, then my advice is to just not do it at all. Because if you feel like once you start, you can't stop yourself, then don't even bother. But this is a good way to dip your toe in the water to get a sense of what he's about and how he'll respond when he does get something that he likes or enjoys. And see if he continues to be consistent with you or if he just seems to be now a little bit less interested in you. I guess what I'm trying to understand and make sense is when you make these recommendations, are you speaking about what is reasonable for both parties? Or are you speaking from others' experience as to what is realistic? I'm trying to understand the rationale behind oral is fine before penetration. It's simply to take a test and to see what he does after that. And then that way there's less feeling of commitment on your part in terms of like, oh my gosh, I now wasted a body. At least you can say, well, I didn't sleep with you. Because I know what I'm trying to do for you is I know that your rationale will be, okay, I can let this go if I didn't sleep with him at the very least. But if you have slept with him, then you're going to say, oh, but I slept with him. Now, let me see if I can make something out of this. Let me see if I can turn this into just like friends with benefits. Let me see if I can just make this relationship take scraps from this and turn it into something, right? This is assuming we are dating and not boyfriend and girlfriend yet, correct? Correct. Because you suggest that he should ask for commitment before even having pineapples, but then said it's reasonable to have oral before actual pineapple, like sex. So basically what I'm understanding is that we can be butt naked and have oral, and I can suck his lollipop with the guy I'm dating, but I'm not exclusive with, correct? Well, okay, you have to also factor in at that point in the pineapple timeline that I'm discussing, you have met his friends, you've met his family, you've verified the stories that he's been telling you and the person that he's been presenting himself to be at that point in time. So it's not like you're doing this and then you don't have a real understanding of who this guy is, right? You have a much clearer understanding of who he is at that point. And then once you actually feel comfortable with the consistency that's been shown to you in this relationship over the course of months, now you can say, okay, let me dip my toe in and see what the response is at that point. If you're someone that adopts the mindset that I don't want to do any of this until we're boyfriend and girlfriend, then that's perfectly fine as well. The reason I structured that timeline like that is because I also wanted to be realistic, okay? In the sense of like from your perspective, in terms of how most people will approach dating, I didn't want to give an idealistic scenario that I know most of you will never follow. So if I just went on the show and said, okay, the perfect timeline is for everyone to just simply wait till marriage. Of course, that would be ideal in an absolutely perfect world where everyone abides by the rules, no one makes mistakes, and no one does anything except what's absolutely perfect. But is that actually going to happen in reality? No. I like to live in reality, so I like to give you a strategy that will help you in the real world that we actually live in with our real emotions and our real feelings, rather than giving you an idealistic scenario that if you don't follow the perfect idealistic scenario, then you're asking, well, what do I do now? I didn't wait till marriage, so Tomisin, now I'm confused. I don't know what to do anymore, right? So that's why I say that, and to go about it that way. If you feel like head is too much, because I've seen a BK say head is too much, then that's perfectly fine. Then you save that until you're actually dating the guy. The system is not meant for you to do it one-to-one. You can say, okay, this doesn't work for me. I'm going to take this and put this here. This works better for me, so I'm going to take this and put this here. And you can adjust the timeline based on what works better for you. It doesn't have to be exactly what I say, but at least it'll help guide you to say, okay, I should look for that. I should look for this. I should wait until this happens. This is a good point. And it helps to fire your brain up so that now when you're creating your own personal timeline, it makes more sense and you have more context clues as to what you should be looking for, okay? Also, I was told by guys and other dating advisors that men will let anyone suck their meat. Is that actually true? If he has no self-respect, sure. Also, I've heard other males, social media guys, that guys will even have other men suck their meat. Is this true? What? I mean, if he's DL, what? If they have no access to women, what? That's not how that works. No, I don't know what those guys are referring to. Do you think this is true, or have you ever heard of this? I've never heard. That's not a thing. Is oral pineapples really so casual? No. If so, why oral pineapples is considered so casual? It seems like it's not. which is why I say you should meet all his friends and family, and it should be months into the relationship before you do that. I don't think that it's that casual. Maybe some other people consider it as casual. I don't think it's casual, and I don't think you should consider it to be casual. And I think if you're listening to creators that think that it's casual, that should immediately tell you should stop listening to that creator, because that creator is not speaking for your best interest. He's speaking for a man's best interest, because sure, it's in a man's best interest for you to consider pineapples and anything romantically or intimately related to be considered casual, because who does that serve? It serves the man. So the people who are actually trying to help you are going to be reminding you that none of it's casual, and you should be taking all of it very seriously. Okay? Okay. Let's hop into our next question here. Let's see here. Okay, so, Sailor Sunset. I like that name. This is a long question. All right, Sailor Sunset here. Part 1. Me, 18, I'm a senior. Sorry, I can't answer your question, Mrs. Sailor Sunset. It's not that I don't like you, but we have a hard rule in the Players Club. No one under 20 years old. Not because I don't like you, but if you're under 20, you should be focusing on your books and your studies, going to class and all that other stuff, not boys. And number 2, when you're 18 years old, and look, the guy you're dealing with is 17, you're not dealing with mature men. So a lot of the advice that I would give would be based around the fact that he's not even in a place where he knows himself well enough to even be a leader in a relationship. So it just like, there really is no purpose to trying to figure out how to go about a relationship with a man who doesn't even know himself. Okay, this is a guy's profile picture, it looks like, but it's titled N. What should I do? Why is your profile picture of this man? Oh, it's what's his name from Modern Family? Okay. Hi, Tomisin. I'm Brazilian, 26. So then why isn't your profile picture the Spanish woman from Modern Family then? That would make more sense. Sophia, what's her name? I don't know. I thought that would make more sense. But anyways, hi, Tomisin. I'm Brazilian, 26, and I've been seeing a 27-year-old man for 3 weeks. We met on a dating app, and things felt mutual and easy from the start. He always took the lead. After chatting on Insta/WhatsApp, he asked me out. On the first date, he was a gentleman, ordered me an Uber, made a reservation, and paid for everything. He said he only had 1 3-month relationship with a co-worker's ex. Huh? A co-worker's ex. You should ask some questions about how did he know that it was the co-worker's ex? Did he pursue her after meeting her through the co-worker? These are things, see, my mind goes a lot of places when I don't never let things slide. But it ended because she wanted to distance him from family and friends. I found it weird, but okay. I find it weird that he dated a coworker's ex. I hope you got more answers on that as well. That's a strange way to meet someone. I told him I've never been in a relationship due to personal reasons and because I haven't met anyone truly compatible with what I'm looking for. We both said we wanted to get to know each other. We held hands and kissed on both dates. At the end of the second date, he asked me out on another date the following week. I hesitated due to a friend's wedding, but accepted, explaining that that would be a rush day. We kept in touch during the week. I showed interest without over messaging. He was consistent, but didn't ask much to know me more deeply. I suggested places for our third date. He agreed. On the third date, after chatting throughout the day and getting home in the afternoon, I texted him at 7 p.m. to cancel because I was exhausted. He knew I hadn't slept and had driven for hours. I didn't apologize, just explained and asked to reschedule. He said it was fine, but it's been 3 days right now and he hasn't said a word, which made me question his interest or maturity. I just found your channel and realized I've made many past mistakes. I'm learning now. P.S. He seems like a good guy and apparently has qualities I'd want in a partner. What do you mean apparently? I'm interested to get to know him, but only if he's interested. Update. It's been a week already and nothing. He still follows me on IG, still has my number. We were in a normal stage with texting frequency every day, planning and engaging to date every week and to not a single word. To me, this seems on purpose. It is. I can't deny that during this time I was a little anxious, thinking about the fact that I'm not working at the moment. Still, all of this don't make sense. What do you mean not working at the moment? My friend advised me to just text a hello. No, don't. I know this has been a while since I was able to answer your question. Do not do that. Do not do that. Do not message him hello. Don't say anything to him. Don't say anything to him. I hope you didn't. Because I canceled, so he's waiting for me to text him. Don't say anything. I texted him. He responded fast. Of course you did. I responded fast like nothing happened. Later, I asked if he was upset that I had to cancel our date. He said no. He said that he truly understood and didn't text me because he was unsure if I still wanted to talk to him. He soon asked me on a date again, and we've been talking again this week. I saw that he updated his profile on the dating app during the week, so I don't know. You do know, actually. We probably are going to have, I think you're going to say go out on a third date this Saturday. Update, a day before our date Friday, he didn't say anything or showed interest. Later, I asked about the holiday that would fall in the next week just to start the conversation like any other. He replied and commented about tomorrow, Saturday. Saturday, my only plan would be to go out with you if that works. Haha. If not, I'll see something to distract myself. Or if any other friends are hanging around. I replied, I'll be honest with you. I hope you don't misunderstand. I was enjoying meeting you, but there are some confusing things, and it seems like you're not interested. We don't need to pretend anything. It's okay to be honest. This MFer replied, the issue is not that I'm not interested. It's that I felt the conversation had cooled down and I tried to keep it going. But for me, it just flows better if we meet up. But I understand your point. Maybe it's for the better. I really enjoyed meeting you, and it was going well, but I don't know. I think I ended up running out of things to talk about. It was a pleasure to meet you. And that's the story. I really tried to follow your advice, Tomisin. But for me, the problem was that he was just saying what I wanted to hear. It only took one bad thing to happen for him to start showing who he truly was. He wasn't being sincere. And he definitely just wanted to have pineapples with me. I gave him the benefit of the doubt when we didn't talk for 10 days when I sent him a message. I shouldn't have listened to my friend and instead followed what you tell us. I always tell you guys, don't reach out. If he wants to talk to you, he has your number, he has your IG, he knows how to contact you. Anyways, I deleted his contact and removed him from my Insta. Thank you so much for your work, sincerity, and dedication about all the things and issues that we women have to face with men. You and Shira are amazing and extremely necessary. Love you, Tomisin. So thank you for the nice message, and this is the thing too. I'm glad you at least realized the situation wasn't going to work out and you just move forward. But that's the thing about guys, right? Like, especially too, when you meet a guy on a dating app, you have to remember the guys on dating apps are very sensitive to like, if I don't get exactly what I want in the moment, I'm just going to move on and start swiping right on another girl. And I'm not saying that to disappoint you. I'm just saying that so that you can understand the reality and the psychology of most of the men that'll be on the dating app. Because the reality of it is, if you go out, the chances of you meeting a guy on a dating app and being the first girl that he's ever gone out with or seen from that dating app is slim to none. And the chances of you being the last girl that he'll ever meet from that dating app is even slimmer. So the reason I say that is that when you meet someone via a dating app, you're meeting someone in a particular headspace of that I can swipe right and find a different girl tomorrow. That is a very dangerous headspace for you as a woman, because when things get hard, he needs to be the one continuing to pursue you. That's exactly why I say, if you want success in dating, the last thing you should be doing is being on dating apps 24/7, because you're literally encountering all the men who feel like they have a plethora of options because they can swipe right on a different girl tomorrow. You're better off dating men less frequently, but dating men that you meet outside of, even just outside in general, than dating men from dating apps, because all of them are like, I can swipe right tomorrow and there'll be 100 more women. And that's not a good place for a guy to be when it comes to going on a date with one single woman, because anything you say that he dislikes, any, sort of awkward tension, anything that requires like anything more than the bare minimum or it being very easy for him, he'll immediately just say, oh, I'll just go find another girl on the dating app again, right? So it's going to be very bad for you in that sense. So my piece of advice for you, for the future, let's meet men off of dating apps. In fact, let's delete the dating app so that you're only forced to meet men through other avenues. It sounds super horrible and toxic. I would actually want for you women to go to clubs and bars and meet men before I would say meet a guy on it. I would rather you go to a club and a bar to meet a guy before I would say go on a dating app. That's how bad I know it is on a dating app and how little I think it'll actually work for you in that sense. Because I just know their focus is on doing it as easy as humanly possible when they're on the dating app. That's why they love it. They can sit in their crusty, nut-stained boxers, unshaved, no haircut, and get access to you. That's not going to do good things for his psyche or his perception of you. I hate to say it like that, but honestly, like I'm being so for real about that, right? A guy at least who sees you at a bar or club and has to come up to you and chat with you, buy you a drink, be interesting, be like charismatic. He's doing more work than the guy on the dating app. It's crazy, but it's true, right? Okay, so this one was deleted. This one says Zombieland. Is your name Zombieland? Okay, you said you'll message me. Okay, interesting. All right, this one. Okay, so did you actually delete it, or did you delete it and say something else? Let me see here. Okay. I backtracked after sending a breakup text right away. So I believe this is you in your message. Oh my God, please answer this on your potty because I do this so well. Oh, I think this message was actually deleted, and then you were just responding to this. I thought that was maybe the message. Okay, let me see here. Let me try and find. Let me find. So I gotta save these. Okay, so this one comes from S. He complained about being unpredictable. Hi, Thompson. I'm 31. I dated a man who's 34 for about 4 to 5 months on and off. Only happened because he wasn't pursuing me consistently. Okay. I honestly believed we had chemistry and a connection, and we liked each other. It's just obvious whenever we see each other in person. We don't have any physical, like we haven't done any physical stuff, I think you meant say. He once told me, "You're so unpredictable." That's good, actually. He sounded like he's complaining. He's not complaining. He's actually complimenting you in a way that sounds like he's complaining, but it's a good thing. And his interest in me was more in the beginning. It was due to my sudden vacation trip, my employment changes, and my parents' sudden move to this town. I told about all of it to him before it happened, and that's how my life is, and I didn't mean to confuse him. There are some long stories in the background. Like one of the reasons he isn't pursuing me is that he has to move to another country, and I wanted something long term, and the fact that I'm a virgin, so he didn't even kiss me. Although he once said he wants to. But anyways, now I stopped reaching out to him as I feel he's being passive, I think I say aggressive, and not stepping up. And this man is still viewing my Instagram stories religiously and constantly. Mind you, he isn't even following my account. My question is how me being unpredictable makes him less interested in me. And yet he said that and is still on my IG, not missing a single story. Is he just confusing, or am I really on his mind? Or should I just take his words as real? The only action he's doing so far for about 1.5 months, you mean like half a month or like 1.5 months? 1 to 2 months. Now is that IG thing, but not asking me out whatsoever. I feel like we have some good times. I feel like we can have some good times if he wants to before his move. But now due to his behaviors, I'm just taking it as if he wants to, he would. I just want to hear your opinion. Thank you. I'm assuming you're not an English speaker, which is why it's a bit misworded, but it's okay. So S, here's the thing about your situation. You got to leave it. Like, there's really nothing else for me to say except for like it's done. If he's not willing to put forth any effort into the situation, there's not much left for you to do here. To answer your question though about why men will watch and not talk to you or respond, I say this to you guys: with men, interest is not a yes or no. Interest is a scale. And the scale can kind of fluctuate as time goes on. So sometimes you might meet a guy and maybe, he showing a lot of interest and has a lot of interest in you. But maybe as time goes on, his interest kind of dwindles away, which could be for a plethora of other factors, even outside of you. But you have to understand, in terms of gauging a man's interest, you have to give him space to show you what that level is at. With men, he might have interest in you to the point where he likes to watch your stories and see what you're doing and keep tabs on you, but not enough interest that he actually wants to reach out to you and ask you out on a date. That's perfectly fine, but you just have to understand why that's happening, and the fact that it's not your job to try and stimulate his interest in you or even bother yourself with what he's choosing to do. Now, if you know that it bothers you to see him watching your stories, then just block him so that he can't watch your stories anymore, and then at least you'll have that peace of mind. But if you're wondering if he's watching your stories because he secretly wants you, don't worry yourself that way. Because if he really wanted you that much, if his interest level was that high, he would just ask you out. So like you mentioned, if he wanted to, he would. So as it relates to now, though, there's nothing left for you to do. There's no reaching out you need to do. Don't bother watching his stories. Don't like none of his pictures. Don't message him. Don't call him. Don't do nothing. And honestly, I would say that if it's already been over 2 weeks since the last time you guys spoke, just completely move on in your mind, because I don't think that there's any purpose served to going back to a guy who doesn't seem to care enough to reach out to you in a whole 2 week time span. Okay. I hope that makes sense. Let's hop into our next question here. Okay. Let's see here. I gotta start. Okay. Perfect. Selena, 25,200. First fight. Hi, Thompson. I need your advice to decode this. There's a guy that has been hovering around me. I tried testing by purposely ignoring him and avoiding him throughout 4 days. So you mean the number 4 days? 4 days to see his reaction. During group interactions, I purposely leave him out. I was laughing and sweet to everyone while being so cold towards him, kind of creating a boundary. And suddenly he's in a bad mood. He snaps at the lab mates and even our professor. He isn't like himself at all, and his facial expression is always furious. I can see him staring through my peripheral vision, but I do not look at him to stay in character. Then news suddenly came where the project that we did before won a championship at an international competition. Okay, congratulations. He doesn't know the news yet. I planned on telling him, but he was being so consumed with his emotions. I was actually enjoying his reaction. I know I have power and effect on him. So I kind of eased my way into being warm around him and reached out first lightly by pretending to be innocent and asked if the organizer approached him about the results. He was shocked, and then he suddenly told me in caps lock like this: I am sorry for the past few days. I'm in a bad mood, but the news really made me happy. Which I really was laughing my butt off internally, knowing I am the one causing the whole drama. And I said innocently that, so that's why you seem not happy about our victory. Then I said, okay, we were laughing it off and made up naturally. I need anyone's advice on what's happening on this. I need help whether to give this guy a chance. Is this a red flag or not? In his mind, he might be going crazy. Why is this woman ignoring me and being cold all of a sudden for no reason? He must be thinking, what the hell did I do wrong? Help me decode. Because I was so confused on my own judgment where I don't want him ignoring me, I ignore him. Am I reacting right? Or am I the one who's the red flag? Have you guys gone on a single date here? I'm trying to see. Okay, so I'm assuming you haven't because you're just saying he's been hovering around you. Here's the thing, okay? I don't want to disappoint you, Selena. None of this matters if he's not going to ask you out on a date. None of this matters. Okay, I know that I'm not saying that what you're feeling, like the vibes that you're probably feeling around him and in talking to him is not real vibes. But like, you also have to understand, like, similar to meeting a guy at work and flirting with the guy at work that you never actually end up going out on a date with, until you actually see that guy outside of the classroom or outside of the whatever, like, or the work situation, if it was a work situation, it's not a real thing. So I get it. You're kind of considering, why is he doing this and why is he doing that? But unless he's actually going to ask you out on a real date, don't be too overly concerned about what he's doing or not doing. Because if you guys are just going to have a classroom flirtatious interaction thingamajig going on, it's not worth your time or energy. He's either going to ask you out on a date and get serious about actually getting to know you outside of the classroom and the projects, or not. So I wouldn't overly concern yourself about whether you're texting him, whether he's upset about this or whether he's upset about that, because one, I'm not going to lie to you, like, this reaction to you not talking to him, especially when you guys, like, it doesn't seem like anything in particular has happened, is just very, what's the word? It's, I don't know how else to say it except it's very feminine. And you just, like, I don't like this. Why is he so bent out of shape? If he has I would much rather a guy who has a problem with you address you. You know what I mean? Than have a problem with you and then be very passive. It's just very weird. I don't like this energy. I don't like this vibe. And I don't even know if he truly likes you to the point where he wants to date you, because you haven't mentioned anything about a date. You've just mentioned texting each other and then seeing each other in class for a project. You guys both have to be there for the project. So right now, my advice to you would be do nothing. If he's not going to ask you out, you're not going to mention a date. And if he's going to continue, like, just kind of casually flirting with you here and there and not really taking this forward in any direction, really, then don't really worry yourself about too much about whether or not this guy likes you or what he thinks or what is that. Because what are you going to do? Date in the classroom? He not going to ask you out, then don't worry yourself too much about it, okay? Let's do one more here. Okay. What is this one? Love Peaches. Someone says, where can I send my question? You go into the link in my bio on TikTok, and then you click where it says Players Club Discord, and then you drop it into the relationship advice form, the free form. This one says, desire for marriage. Hi, Tommy. I'm 22, and my partner is 22, and we have been dating for 9 months. We met on a dating app. Okay. On our first date, he told me that he set his friend up with a girl he matched with on a dating app. He told me that his friend can't wait to marry her and that they got engaged within 4 months. He also said a man knows right away if a girl is his wife. I expressed how I also want to get married relatively soon, which is common in our religion and culture, and I'm also saving myself for marriage. And he told me we'll see if we have the same timeline. Interesting. The next day, he posted an Instagram story with that friend he set up with the caption, hard launch. I pretended to be unbothered, but he kept asking me what I thought about this story. We text every day and go on dates. He pays for dates and cares for me. I like him and feel like if I never knew about his friend's relationship, I would be happier than I am. So you think you're comparing yourself. Sometimes I think to myself, is she prettier than me that he got engaged to her in 4 months? Are my insecurities getting the best of me? I'm only in my early 20s and have heard having a 1 to 3 year courting period before engagement is more realistic. Okay, so a couple of things that I don't know the answer to, you know the answer to, so you can answer these questions for yourself. You also have to factor in how old is his friend? Okay, number one. What place is his friend at? So for example, let's just say hypothetically his friend is also 22. Is his friend making 6 figures at his job? That's obviously going to put him in a different place mentally than your man if he's not there. You get what I mean? Not to, put down your man, but if he's in a different place financially, of course, he's going to be having different considerations towards marriage than maybe his friend will, right? So that's something to factor in. Age is something to factor in as well. Also, and I'll be super real with you, you're not going to like this one, but I'll be honest with you. How a man meets a woman will determine his perception of her. So it's kind of a perfect example of that. your man that you're with now met the girl that his friend is with on a dating app. He didn't necessarily think that they would work out. That wasn't his vibe. And maybe, you know, whatever the case may be. But ironically, his friend who didn't meet her through that dating app, he met her through his friend, the guy that you're talking to now, valued her to the point where he wants to get engaged to her. But she's the same girl. One guy sees a whole lot of value in her, and another guy is very meh on her. This is why I say protect your perception as a woman, because you want the guy that you actually want to be in a relationship with, you want him to see you in a way where he's like, no, this is my woman. She is everything. I want to protect her. I want to take care of her. I want to do everything I possibly. You want him to put you on a pedestal. But the problem is certain things you might do on an accidentally and even innocently might take you off of that pedestal, right? i.e. being on a dating app, because it's very hard for you to seem like a dream woman when he swipes right on you, right? It makes you a lot more mundane, average, regular, just like all the other women, because he meets you in the context of like a whole bunch of other women. So it's very difficult for you to stand out in his mind. Yeah, you might even be an attractive woman. Yeah, you might take really nice dating app pictures, but then it's like, there's other women who also take really nice dating app pictures that are attractive as well, that he's probably swiped right with as well. So this is why I say that for men, their perception will change how they approach the relationship with you. That's why I say to always protect that. Now, I'm not saying that that's your fault. You're already here now. You're with him now. Okay. So I don't want you to be dwelling too much on that. But what I will say is for yourself, you can't compare yourself to what other people are doing. I wouldn't personally advise you, even if he was ready to marry you now, I wouldn't advise you to marry someone that you've only been dating for 9 months. I wouldn't advise that, because I know in 9 months, you don't know enough about someone to actually make a determination on if you would spend the rest of your life with that person. Whether man or woman, if someone was getting married within 4 months of knowing someone, I would tell them that's a mistake. Okay? Because you need to experience someone in a plethora of situations and circumstances to be sure that the person you're marrying is actually the person you want to spend the rest of your life with. There's nothing wrong with taking your time with a decision that's going to affect literally the rest of your life. There's literally nothing wrong with that. So I think both men and women, both the guy you're dating and you, should allow yourselves to develop in the relationship first so that you can both be sure that you're marrying the person you really want to marry. And then that way, when you go into a marriage, you don't have any questions. See, this is the funny thing too. You can date someone for 9 months and you'll be thinking in your mind, I know everything I could possibly know about them. And then let's say you sit down with someone else and they're asking you guys a bunch of questions about each other and you can't even answer those questions. Like, for example, right? Love Peaches. Do you know what his middle name is? Right? Do you know his brothers and sisters? Like, have you sat down with them? Have you like ate dinner with them? Right? Do they know like who you are? Do they know your life well? Have you spent any time with his mom, with his dad, like had one-on-one conversations with them? Like in 9 months, you might not have, right? You might have just been dating him casually and things have just been going well and whatever the case may be, right? And you don't really know anything about him outside of that. Have you had sit-down one-on-one conversations with his good friends, right? Like, have you had that? Do you know simple things like what his favorite color is? Do you know where he wants to live in the next 5 years? Do you know where he wants to move to? Do you know what his dream job is? Do you know like how much do you really know about the person? Because sometimes it's easy to think about how much time has passed, but not the quality of that time and how much you actually know about the person in that time frame. So something also to note, right? Lots of things you can learn about someone. Have you seen him when he's stressed out? Have you seen him when he has family problems, when he has friend problems? Have you seen him when he's having money problems? Have you seen him when he's really angry? What's your relationship like when he's really angry? When he's angry at you, how does he treat you, right? When you guys fight, how does it go? How long does it take to resolve conflict, right? All these different things, you have to just go through them and be patient with going through them. You definitely can't go through all of that in 4 months. So for sure, that would be a mistake. So you can't compare your timeline to other people's timeline, and remind yourself, one, you're young. So you guys waiting a little bit to get married and it's not running away from you. And even in 3 years, right? In 3 years, you guys will just be 25. Nothing wrong with getting married at 25. You'll be perfectly fine. Your head's not going to explode if you get married at 25 instead of getting married at 22. Okay? So understand, time is your friend in this sense. The longer you can be with him, the longer you can get to know him and understand him. And if you guys are truly right for each other, you'll get married anyways. All right? Okay, chat, that is the show for today. For those of you who have any questions for me, feel free to ask, whether it's in the free section, the premium section, or the private section, okay? I'm trying to think here. I thought I had something that I wanted to announce. Maybe next time. For those of you who want to follow me on Instagram, you can follow me on Instagram at Tomisin_Atub. For those of you who are watching the show and you're watching it on TikTok and you missed any of the parts of the show or you came late, you can always go to my YouTube channel, which is just my name on the top right corner of the screen, Tomisin. And then once you get into my YouTube channel, you'll be able to see this live stream and all the other live streams I've done since the beginning of time. And you'll get all the context of everything that we've talked about on the show, because you'll have the YouTube and the TikTok live chat embedded in the video. I'm gonna start posting a lot more on TikTok too. I gotta start grinding on TikTok. I haven't been grinding on TikTok. I've only been grinding on YouTube. Okay. So that will be that. Oh, by the way, thank you so much to Nicole Cottom, who donates $5 in the YouTube chat. She says, great show, great points. Thank you so much, Nicole Cottom. I appreciate you, as I appreciate all of you. I'm live every week, not every weekday, but during the week, I'm live Monday and Thursdays. I'm going to try not to miss any more days because I know it's only 2 days of the week already. So I'll be back again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'll be earlier, okay, much earlier than today. And we'll have more discussion about love, life, relationships, and all that good stuff, okay? There was something I wanted to say about you guys to remind me. Anyways, if I remember it, I'll say it in Discord. All right, I love you all so much. I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. EST. So until we meet again, I bid you adieu, arrivederci, au revoir, sayonara, adios, ciao, salam, bounty, hasta la vista, bon voyage! And I'll see you again on Thursday at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Okay, goodbye. I love you so much.